right, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a wonderful morning. It's a lot calmer from any of the other starts of this week. You did have bad payroll data. We are going to get ISM services. That'll be the final one, but you've gone through this, man. We're going to play a little bit of high stakes up until tomorrow. And tomorrow morning, that'll be the set-all, be-all. And then there's not really any volatility until Powell the week after that. But I did talk about it a lot already. It's 6 a.m., but remember, the Fed is right around the corner. Every single set of data, every single reaction, it's borderline in context of what Jerome Powell and the economy is going to do. So don't forget about that. We did still get more headlines out of Google, Apple, Tesla. That Mag 7 effect will be pervasive. And like I'm saying, we're going to get that ISM services data, couple of post earnings, nothing too crazy. And then we get 7 hours of fun, Chattadonia. So yeah, and we'll see. We're going to play members only roulette today, depending on the ban list. So, and then yeah, depending on the changes, I just told the other guys, you know, in the beginning of the year, we went members only on Philo. So if we have the same lack, I need good training, you guys. But the next step is going to be members only stocks and then non-members only Philo. So just to give you an idea, so you could prepare or you lock in, and that's all we got to do. That's all we got to do, baby. So let's have fun. I only have a minute. I need to go potty. Where's Jim Cramer? Jimmy. Oh. All right, I can't find it, bro. I need the propaganda. I need to go potty. Oh, they don't want to give me propaganda, bro. And then Giorgio Armani died. I don't know if you guys heard that. So yeah, I think I could. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try to go. Where's Jesus? He's with you, but where's the song? Oh man, my glasses. Oh, I'm a mess right now, bro. Oh, I'm locked in, but I'm a mess. It's the morning. My glasses are falling off. Everything. Okay. Please hold. Okay, we only got 50 seconds, bro. Okay, be right back. Jesus. Praise God. Amen, amen. It's a cult, baby. Hey. Yeah. If we talking plays, yeah, I'm in there like swimwear. I've been there. I've done this shit for 10 years. You can have it all, but you been scared. Big scare. Funny part, there wasn't even risk there. My thoughts been my own, yeah, I've been clear. No fear. Oh dear, who you trying to control here? My God is the weapon, I ain't boasting. Nah, it's done. Daddy said it's finished, made me in his image, but that always made me timid. Wonder why we different, don't you ever get it twisted. It's the only way we get it, set apart from the start. And the heart isn't ours, it's a hippie with the love, but it's David with the sword. I want peace, so that means you gon' kill me if it's war. Nietzsche, Trotsky, can't beach on the arm. Want it easy or? Round one, fight. Alright, I sent out those, yeah, so see, again, those Googles I was looking at yesterday. Remember, the out of the monies did not move. Oh, then you had the other one. Pizza. Oh, Capri. All right. What's up with Intel? I think it's just the spreads, but those popped. The Babas came down, actually. So we're going to see. And then keep an eye on oil as well. Again, that was down even after yesterday. You got Meta. The CRM. Again, Fig. I hope you made those free. I'm actually glad that I did. No. All right, and then 30 more minutes, you're going to get the data. Again, ISM services. You want the ISM. You do not want the other one. There might be an S&P one. That's usually what happens. The Dollar Tree puts are back up. I only have a couple of them left. I already made those free. Oh, shit, they are. Nice. Oh, my gosh. You only have one more day. Ah! Friday Junior, bro, this week. Oh, no, that's just the spread. Yeah. That's the spread fucking it up. That's all I'm like, that's way too much. I was about to take them all. So, yeah, you're still up on it probably if it fills, but that's just a wide spread for now. I don't know what Twitter is doing over Rivian. I'm starting to believe you're pumping it now. So, please don't bring it up again. Thank you. It's Rivian at $1 will buy it. Still the same price. Clorox. Oh, watch Staples too. And then healthcare is down. Remember, staples and the dynamic was pretty weird. You are starting with the Dow down. Russell's actually almost the leader. And then NASDAQ. There's Apple. Google, yeah, Google's actually down. Remember, that was 8%. Snap and Meta. Yeah, but Meta tried to buy Snapchat back in the day. Right around or right before their IPO, and they said no. So I've heard that, but I don't think it'll really happen. Unless Snapchat has somebody who works for OpenAI, and then Mark Zuckerberg will pay them $20 billion just because. That's a different one. Rigetti on the high. CCJ, there was a lot of those deals. What was it? I think PHM or one of them this morning had a deal related to it was like 2.5 million government contract or something. JBL, KWeb, like I said, BABA premiums, they started off weaker. Yeah, bro, Fig got murdered. So like I was saying it yesterday, bro, Fig earnings was not that bad, but like the stock just doesn't have hype. It had hype on day 1 or day 2, but like you got to think like CoreWeave, Circle, those are mixed in with the most hyped industries. Figma, you could kind of argue it's AI, but yeah, it just doesn't have the juice, man. So that I didn't think the report was that bad, but the stock is getting demolished, and it opened up, 3-4 times higher than IPO price, and now if you don't have that same demand, you need demand on that one. Biogen on the low, Tesla's starting to go. Wayfair, let me check. XL's like Nike, Lulu, and then AEO. Watch any of the retailers. I want to see if they're going to come up at that thing. Please hold. I'm going to double check. CRM did get wrecked, yes. Theirs just wasn't that hot, but I don't think it's at 2 standards yet. Yeah, 7 is what was priced in. No, they're not going to be there. Lulu's after the bell. I'm trying to see. I'm going to get this schedule for who's showing up at those conferences today. Yeah, if I do above 100, just be careful if it sells it off by the end of the day. But yeah, if we could find those events, because yesterday a lot of those moves they came from that. Let's see. What's the date today? The 4th. Yeah, Goldman, HOFC. I need to organize this. It's fucking showing me. Everybody. Amazon Anthropic news. Anthropic on the build out. Oh, those are shitty. I have one for you. I have a couple. I got the list now. I'm gonna send one. Reddit. They're already jacking those up. All right, yeah, there's actually a lot, bro. You have a lot of there's a Wells Fargo Health Conference, then there's the TD Growth Conference, and then there's the Goldman one. But I want the retail ones. Those are the ones I think are important. SMTC. Oh, and then Zivra, something with Congress. And then we got to watch the, what's it called? We got to watch Moran. He's going to be getting approved today. Or they're going to do the Senate hearing. Okay, let me check. I got another win. Yeah, again, the Dollar Tree puts are holding up oddly, but made the most free. Actually, I haven't checked yet. Yeah, still a wide-ass spread. Baidu, where's NIVDA? So still 0.3. Dow is about to go green. Not bad, honestly, compared to the last couple days. Just today was way more boring for the morning. Every other day, you had a lot more. No, Broadcom is big. It's big for the whole AI theme. Beautiful. IWM, Southwestern Airlines, and now you got biotechs and then PBI. Yeah, GLW, those are from yesterday. Restoration, too. I don't know if they're at a conference or not. It's not filling on that one. Nothing is working. Good morning. Why do they hate me? Ooh. Okay, they finally let it work. Alright, you're moving. Watch airlines, bro. Every other day we've watched it, but then again, every other day you've had oil down. So that could be it. Alright, I think I'm gonna wrap it up with those. I'm just going through the list of the names at these conferences, and then I'm finding the ones that are more likely to have some moves. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, these are all today. Oh, they know what I want to do. I'm looking at one of them. It's not working. Please hold. Equal went green. You got in a bike accident and you didn't scream. You just kept saying long term. Bro, are you okay? I hope you are, man. The Chads, bro. You guys all ride bikes. Just be careful. All right, man. I don't know. Some of these, I could keep sending these out, but like I'm telling you guys, the problem is there might be too many. So I already sent out 3 of them, and then just make them free too whenever you can. But yeah, dude, there's so many today. Bro, I'm telling you, all the way to like 8 or 9, there's going to be a lot of them. And then you're going to get a lot more healthcare ones. Bro, even fucking Microsoft is going to be at one of them. You're going to have Microsoft at one of the city conferences. There's NVIDIA. How much was those? Yeah, those worked. One of them already hit. Do I have an opinion on buying year out calls deep in the money? I do not, no. Sorry. Yeah, KHC. UK speaking with Denmark about Sweden deal. Xi tells Kim China to boost high-level exchanges with North Korea will not change. I'm just going through this list. All right, I think I'm at the bottom of it. But yeah, Microsoft's gonna be at damn Marriott, TripAdvisor. Oh, okay, I got one more. I got 2 more, guys. 2 more. Fuck me. I don't want to play too many of them, but there's a lot. These are a liquid. Okay, I'll give you one. Watch IFF. That's a value one. They're going to be at the conference, but I'm not going to play that one. That chain is shit. I don't think I'm going to play the Microsoft either, but you can if you'd like. And then Bonds 2, Spy, Eli Lilly. High Ticker's actually pretty active. Then you got Japan. Dow is now gone green. Everything's gone green. A derp. Would I help finance new builds? Probably not. I'll buy one though. But you wouldn't really want, like, because you got to think about it. If I did any financing right now, it'd be really expensive. So I'm down to lend, but just look at the interest rates right now. So it's the alternative. And if a bank isn't going to give you a loan, I won't. And then at the same time, I'm probably going to be higher than what a bank would be, sadly. That's just the reality of it. That's why I keep telling you guys, in high interest, you know, the game has changed. I don't think it'll stay like this, but for the most part, you literally just have a very different value proposition once the interest rates are this high. Okay. Oh, shit. Big pop on Freddie and Fannie. They were doing good this morning, and I think all week actually. Yeah, 1249. Not again. They're all up 4% today. I don't see the big pop in real time, just to move towards the high. They have FMCC a little bit more. Yeah, don't post your plays, brother. So I'm telling you guys my plays. I hold the monopoly on it, but I don't know. I feel like not too many people are telling you about these conferences this morning and getting ahead of them. So I don't know, but I hold the monopoly, brothers. I'm sorry that it's still this confusing. Jeff there's a lot of events. I don't know which event you're talking about. There's a bunch of them. I was gonna do one more. The yen carry trade. Yeah, more just Japan in general. Intel? Is that Insight or Intel? I can't really tell. Intel. Yeah, bigger volume on Intel, but could be a glitch. You say. All right. So yeah, I think we're gonna go members only on just normal stock trading days, you guys. Some of y'all getting right back on the ban list after you tell me I love you. Just don't post that. Don't post that shit. Come on. I give you good info, but please don't pump your info on other chats. Give me something real. Give me something good. Not some unusual whales $4.99 shit. You get what I'm saying? Like, we could... Come on. Go pick apart those names at the conference. You're going to make money. That's why I told you it. You guys have only shared with me bullshit. Dude, I mean that respectfully. But that's what it is. Justice issues subpoena as part of probe into Fed Governor Lisa Cook. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's there. Wall Street Journal confirmed. So yeah, Justice Department subpoenas Lisa Cook. Or there's a probe. Services. That's not the one. 54.5. So this candle's BS. That's S&P. You got to wait for ISM. That'll be in another 10 minutes. It is, bro. You know how many people email me asking to sponsor their little options tracker? And how much they'll pay me if I go and promote to you guys a unusual options scanner? You guys are being sold. But that's what I'm saying. Just give me some real info. Tell me if you got info from the conference. If you could tell me which name is going to align at the conference, I think that's good info. That's why I shared it with you guys. Again, most of them are doing good. They should be. Yeah, let me see that other one. Oh, yeah. Those options could stay unusual. Boeing, Arquite. Watch Intel. That one keeps going random. And then TJX might be at the conference. Yeah, Boeing is getting knocked. Watch TJX. I know I didn't win the lotto yesterday. Because one of you bought. I told you not to. You're going to mess it up. No, they're not all... Dude, it's a lot. There's Cantor Health Conference, Goldman Health Conference, Citi Health Conference, or Wells Fargo Health Conference, then a Barclays Staple Conference, Citi TMT Conference, Bank of America Communication Conference, Jefferies Industrials Conference, Deutsche Bank Aviation Forum. That's all your airlines. Bro, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, I don't know. Some of you guys posting your TLT, QQQ, and unusual options. That's cute and all, but like I'm saying, you all throughout today up until like 10 a.m., you have a shit ton of catalysts just from these events. And yesterday, I would argue 70, 80% of the plays were just off of these moves. So, yeah, like, that's how you prepare and prepare in advance. And I didn't know these were there. I only heard of a couple of them. And that's why right when the morning started, I pulled up my list and started looking. And then that's why I sent out several plays and I was communicating and gave you guys some, but I hope you see why. Oh, I need one more, actually. I don't need it. I don't want it, actually. I'll post this one for you, though. Please hold. UPS is not up. Okay. Open. Yeah, UPS getting clobbed. I don't post the plays anymore because we have trouble getting organized. So I just give you guys info and hopefully you pick up on it. Because like I'm saying, too many pumpers, too much options ahead of long term. So yeah, I don't know. Open door. Mexico too. UPS paid out. TXN on the high. I mean, right now that you're flipping. Russell's still holding. NASDAQ is now weaker than the SPY, and then Dow went green, so he kind of moved around a little bit. You had Chinese comments. Chinese president. Where's equal weight? Equal weight's not doing bad. I mean, you are into yesterday's open pretty much, but equal weight's also doing it just as good as the SPY. Yeah, it is an easy process. That's why I don't like open door. They're not, bro. I'm telling you, they're not. What's it called? They're not. Like, they're not bad if you're the customer. If you sell your house to open door, they'll give you a lot of money. That's why I don't like them, because I'm telling you, during the pandemic or like post-pandemic with real estate, we were buying flips. And then we would just sell them to open door without flipping them. I want you guys to think about this for a second. So, bro, we would go and we would buy houses that we were going to fix up and flip. And then you would just take it to open door. And then they would give you the price of the flip without flipping it. So then, yeah, I did it a couple times, and then there was one of them where they were going to offer us like $300K, but the flip was worth way more, so we just did it. But there was a few where we made more money just flipping to open door than actually flipping the house. They were one of the first people to do that dog shit like AI real estate pricing, and it just did not work. No, there was a couple people who didn't make money during the thing. Some people who like went crazy with the buying and terrible pricing and timing. It did backfire. But Open Door was one of the bigger. Zillow fucked up too, if you guys recall. Why does it keep doing that? Okay, so I made one of them free. So one of those conference plays, you got 100, make it free. That's it. Just make them free, and then you could wait until they say shit. And then if they don't, you don't lose anything. Very simple, Habibi. I think you could do the same with the other one. Please hold. $7 million for 30 minutes. I think UMC still accepts Bitcoin. I mean, shit, the FHA will accept Bitcoin. Mondelez and Texas Instruments, very different companies. Mondelez has value. I like TXN if it comes down, but so if it's on the high, I'm not a fan. That's why TXN no, but good company. Yeah, Mondelez, I just think you could do better than Mondelez. And then you see the Crafts and the Canagras of the world. They're in value for a reason, but that's why like when the time came for that industry, that's what sucks is because like Pepsi was the one you wanted. I would take Pepsi over Mondelez, Conagra, the KHC, all of them. I think Adobe's down because of Figma. That could be it. Moran is testifying now. Trump, Zelensky, European leaders' call is over. Airlines still, again, you have an airlines conference. Ooh, ooh. Rotation, well, everything's up. I don't know. The last couple days we go back and forth, but I can't really tell because everything's up. Healthcare, tech, all of it. I'll get you guys a checkup here in 1 minute, so we're good. Macy's again. Remember they had good earnings. Where is a Pepsi? Whoa, services, there it is. ISM, 52 on non-manufacturing versus 51. Where's that services gauge? Jeez. Yeah, bond just got murked off of that. But that was just, I think, the knee-jerk reaction. Yeah, it's already back up. Jeez. Dude. Okay, ISM. So it came in 52. Actually came in hotter. 52 versus 51 expected. Business activity, 55 versus 52. Unemployment or employment went up 46.5 versus 46.2. So it's still a little depressed, but it went up. New orders went up over 10%. And then prices went down. No, I think it was good. That was actually really good. All things considered. The employment's a little weak. That's all everyone's going to care about. Just because you want to know if it's going to be like last time. But prices down, activity up, services up, and then, yeah, you're not getting any warning sign. That's probably your better one than not. But that bond reaction is pretty massive. Remember, you did move just the last couple days about like 1 point something on TLT. Robinhood and Coinbase on the high. No update on the Stream Alert situation. It's just super risky, you guys. So we're allowed to send them, and like you all opted in for Texas, and they just made that change. But the people we use for a provider, just we don't have the confirmation yet. So I don't want to run the risk of it. So if you're worried, I would just cancel it if you have a renewal or something coming up, and then you'll have to wait. But literally, that one is like out of our control. Just the government, they changed that. So it's just too risky, man, until we actually, I'm sure we'll get it fixed very soon. But yeah, that kind of blindsided us. FTC prepares to request documents from OpenAI, 'Meta, and others. Google it. Yeah, bonds are still going again. ISM services just came out. I don't know if this is going to, how much it'll move us, but let's see the breakdown. 338 green on the SPY, 164 in the red. It's literally reverse. Dow Jones, 23 green, 7 in the red. It's all reverse of yesterday. And then NASDAQ is 50-50. Google's dropping. MSTR, even though some of the other crypto plays are going up. And then now you're getting another candle. If anything, I would argue maybe that ISM services means no rate cuts. I don't think so, but yeah, that reaction, bonds are going down and SPY, but it wasn't a bad print. Cigna and UNH popping. Healthcare. Cigna, CNC was getting clobbered earlier. They're coming back up. XLP. Expedia. There's a travel conference. So Marriott, TripAdvisor, and then one more. They're going to be at some travel thing. So you might get a headline today. NBY. You got the high tickers still moving, but like I'm saying, that data, that was kind of a good as bad reaction in a weird way because everything beat, and then you didn't have any warnings on jobs or payments, or prices. But yeah, so this all this volatility 3 minutes ago, all from ISM services. X money stalled by regulators. Oh, who's the other one? Walmart, Target. Staples are doing good. Yesterday they got fucked. So like I was saying, if now NASDAQ red, if everything else goes red, then maybe it'll look like a rotation. For now, everything's still up, but that just changed with NASDAQ going red there on the ISM services. Bonds have given up half of it. How could it explain no rate cuts? Because if the economy is not teetering, aka business activity is high, the jobs are not going low, why would they do that? Why would they cut the rates? Do I like sweet greens for the long term? I'll start the bidding at $20. So you give me $20, I'll tell you. Any takers? $20, looking for a 20, looking for a 20, looking for a 20. Can I get a 20? Can I get a 20 out of long term? No? Okay, then you'll have to go back. You'll find the answer. We were just calling it sour brown. That's the fun part. Okay, another candle. Dell on the high now as you are dumping. Pay attention to any techs outperforming. FMCC, Fannie Mae, Freddie, they're all still going too. And now Lumen. UNH again too. Fig down 20. All right, you're going down. It is healthcare and staples are all going up. Boeing, UPS, a lot of travel, and then tech as well. But I don't even think that tech is that bad. I think it's everybody else. Because you even got Meta still in the green. I know Nvidia is red. But yeah, Eco8's coming down. But NASDAQ 0.05. Now Dow flipped red too. SPY's the only thing hanging on. And then Russell. Lumen. So why are you guys telling me about Lumen? I'm waiting for your answers to wait for my decision. But yeah, I think that looks like shit. And then you guys keep pumping it without the info. What's the info? They plan an additional 425 million no offering. So I'm banning all of you for Lumen. Sound fair? Oh, partnership with Palantir. There you go. I'll let you stay. Everyone else is gone. See, give me the info. Don't pump it. Very simple. I see the Palantir one. That is confirmed. So jackasses are going to play it, clearly. WDC. All right, tech chips are doing really good. As weird as that may sound. Trump told European leaders that Europe must stop purchasing Russian oil. Good morning. Okay, you got Dell. I think was that Micron too. But all the chips are killing it. I think SMH is in the green. Only down 0.4. Has to be because NVIDIA, but that's tiny. But yeah, chips are showing some strength right now. That's a small cap. So yeah, you're going to get those running. That's why I hope just try to attach it to a headline or understand what it is, because that'll tell you the quality of it. LRCX, LE, GIL. All right, first little bounce there. It's all from ISM services. Kind of crazy. Alright, still showing a little bit of weakness. You are not out of the clear just yet. It's crazy because yesterday you would make these moves and they would be like a quarter point. It's all like half, 0.05, 0.5, 0.10, all here at the line, at the open. Oh, PayPal. I haven't looked at PayPal in a minute. Bro, they got hit by the hack stuff and then it didn't really move. Let's see. What was it? The PayPal. Oh, wow. PayPal is dropping right now, though. So they're kind of getting knocked. UPS dividend, yeah. Train of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is seen leaving Beijing. So Kim Jong-un is going home. Do you think he gets sad when they have to say goodbye? Oh, and then GE. They're at the, I thought GE was at the healthcare conference. I could be wrong, but I did see them on one of the lists. And then PG came down a little bit. The oil. Okay, not bad. Oh, I forgot Mr. Moran. I want to hear him. But there hasn't even been a headline. Usually, even remember when Moran headlines would hit the wire in the morning or in the beginning of the year? But yeah, RFK is testifying, but I thought we were going to get Moran. ARM on the high. Again, chips are doing very good. You're kind of getting a little shift here. Staples calmed down in the last 5 minutes there. They benefited off the first little run when things dropped, but now Staples coming down. A couple of techs are coming up. NASDAQ back in the green. Dow is the one staying red. JPM. The banks. Yeah, JPM getting a couple of candles here out of nowhere. I don't know if any other financials. Fig, dude. So yeah, I'm glad we made it free, man. That's what I was saying yesterday. But yeah, they got destroyed. It's crazy. This went to 150 in 2 days. But that's what I'm saying. Like, this shows like demand, but if there's no hype in demand, I mean, these things are dead. So I'm sure Fig is going to come up with some AI hype eventually, but until that happens, it's going to kind of be like this. Yeah, we have been here for just under an hour, though. So it's like both quick and slow. I know volume seems a little lighter. Like that conference stuff, you have a lot there. So other than that, though, we are waiting. We got the ISM services. You got the ADP. We'll see whatever we get with Trump. But that's it. Now you're getting bigger candles. Again, North Korea, Kim Jong-un is leaving China. Yeah, you have RFK. I want Moran. Yeah, he is live. With Elizabeth Warren! Is this live?
Of the Fed, not holding a business as usual
Finally, the voice of reason
hearing to help grease the skids for Donald Trump to grab more power.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, every single Democratic member of the committee wrote to you last week asking that you postpone this hearing. Dr. Myron's nomination and Trump's demand for quick confirmation before the September Fed meeting are directly tied to his illegal attempt to fire Governor Cook and to Trump's ongoing effort to take over the Fed. Dr. Myron, during your tenure as chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, your primary achievement has been your willingness to make increasingly absurd economic claims on behalf of every single reckless Trump move. You have helped design Trump's chaotic tariff policies that are driving up costs for families. You also played cheerleader for the one big beautiful bill that cuts health care for 15 million Americans and spikes household electricity prices nationwide by up to 18% over the next decade. Even if the Republicans on this committee force through his confirmation, Dr. Myron's tenure will be tainted. No one, not the American public, not investors here at home, not the worldwide financial markets.
Baby girl, after everything you've done, if your reputation hasn't been tainted, I think he'll be fine.
Every vote he takes will be tainted with the suspicion that he isn't an honest broker, but instead
I don't think
Donald
you're
Trump's
honest.
puppet. If we allow the Fed to become a political football,
I think you're
every
Joe
American
Biden.
Consumer, every American worker, and every American business will pay a long-term price. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, new low after that little freak out. You had the little pop and drop.
Will you please stand, rise, and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Do you agree to appear and testify before any
I don't know what this is. You're starting to dump. So it started with Staples.
You may sit down.
But now I think it's everything. Staples kind of holding a little bit more of tech as those chips come down.
Please
Watch
keep
out.
your oral comments, however, to
But yeah, these have been
5
your
minutes.
biggest candles.
Mr. Hobbs, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Scott, Ranking
Bitcoin
Member
dropping.
Warren, and members of the committee for the opportunity to sit before you today as the nominee of Assistant Secretary for Public and Indian Housing at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. I am honored to be here, and I look forward to partnering with all of you to ensure low-income Americans have access to decent, safe, and affordable housing and are put on a path towards self-sufficiency. I would first like to thank President Donald Trump and Secretary Scott Turner for the nomination and their confidence in me to return to the Office of Public and Indian Housing in its most senior role. I would also like to extend my gratitude to my former boss, Chairman Scott, for the opportunity to work as a part of his staff here in the U.S. Senate. As the current Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for PIH, I would also like to express my appreciation to the entire staff of PIH who conduct themselves with
We are at
professionalism
10
and
bands
work
for the day,
tirelessly to
Chad.
improve our
I'd
programs.
perk up.
Last but certainly not least, I want to thank my lovely fiance Madison, my parents Fred and Rebecca, my brother Jacob, and all of my friends who are here today offering their unwavering support through this process and my career in public service. Growing up in the small town of Alliance, Ohio,
As you're getting
my
the big
family instilled
candles,
in me
even
the
the
values
band
of hard work, faith,
5 away
and
from the
cheerful
real
service
one.
to others. I remember fondly my first job helping Papa bale hay in the summer, going to Sunday school with Grandma, and doing regular community service projects with my Boy Scout troop. Growing up, I also witnessed poverty and how some of our best intended welfare programs often stifled the work ethic and family formation of some of my peers. My upbringing ignited in me a passion for public service and a drive to improve the social safety net and to help low-income Americans on the path to self-sufficiency. I'm currently on my second tour of duty at HUD-PIH. During the first Trump administration, I served as the senior advisor and drove the development and implementation of several policies, including the 2016 expansion of the Moving to Work demonstration program and HUD's effort to reposition public housing to a more sustainable platform.
He's talking public housing.
Later in the first Trump administration, I served on the Domestic Policy Council as a special assistant to the president and was the council's lead on affordable housing, economic development, welfare, and homelessness. It was in this role where I first met and worked with now Secretary Scott Turner on the White House Opportunity and Revitalization Council and on the implementing regulations for the Opportunity Zone tax incentive. I have been blessed to work as a congressional staffer in both the House and the Senate.
Google on the low.
While on staff for Chairman Jason Smith on the House Ways and Means Committee, my work focused on policies that promoted work, self-sufficiency, and tribal sovereignty. At the committee, I helped draft and pass several pieces of bipartisan legislation to strengthen work requirements for welfare and expanded tribal sovereignty in the child support program. While serving now Chairman Scott on the Committee on Aging, our work focused on his opportunity agenda to uplift millions of Americans. My policy dedication and background in housing, welfare reform, economic development, homelessness, older Americans, persons with disabilities, and tribal affairs in both the executive and the legislative branch have prepared me well to serve as the next Assistant Secretary of Public and Indian Housing.
Dying. I don't know if they're at
one
of the conferences.
In my current role at PIH, I have made it a priority to get outside of the Beltway and hear from our stakeholders. I have met with tribes, residents, staff, and public housing authorities around the country, including visits to Massachusetts, South Carolina, North Carolina, Ohio, New Jersey, Alabama, New York, Connecticut, Wisconsin, Alaska, and the District of Columbia. On these trips, I have heard and seen both heartwarming and heartbreaking stories. Heartwarming stories of a resident who transformed her life and moved from being a resident to the now deputy director of a housing authority. And heartbreaking stories of a resident who has lived her entire life in deteriorating public housing, from birth to her now senior years. If confirmed, I commit to you, I will work tirelessly to ensure we dramatically increase the number of heartwarming stories and put an end to these heartbreaking stories. I will do everything I can to execute Secretary Turner's vision to ensure our housing programs are a trampoline for residents on the path to self-sufficiency, address the deteriorating conditions of public housing, and strengthen oversight and accountability of public housing authorities. Thank you, Chairman Scott, Ranking Member Warren, and distinguished members of the committee. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hobbs. Next will be Mr. Kurtz.
Chairman Scott, Ranking Member Warren, and members of this committee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I am honored and humbled by President Trump's confidence in nominating me to be the Assistant Secretary of the Department of Housing and Urban Development for Community Planning and Development. I would also like to thank Secretary Turner for the vision he has outlined and servant leadership he has provided for this
I thought that was the guy who shot Trump.
Energized and encouraged by the prospect of joining this team, should I be confirmed in this
I looked at it and I said, wait,
as importantly, I would like to thank those who have been behind me every step of my life. From Duluth, Georgia, to Athens, to Dunwoody, to Grovetown, to Washington, D.C., I've been blessed to be supported by those who have seen the best in me and helped me cultivate that. For that, I am forever grateful. Among the many friends, family, and colleagues here today and supporting me from afar, none are more important than my parents, my father and best friend, Jerry, and my mother and hero, Sue. There are no words to capture the love you have given me, and my thanks will never be enough. These two raised me in a working-class home in Gwinnett County, Georgia, and taught me to love this country and strive to serve it. I'm the first member of my family to graduate college, and in my time at the University of Georgia, I came to the realization that local government is where one can affect their communities most immediately. I've since spent most of the past decade serving local governments in Georgia in the field of community development.
More volume on Disney.
First in the city of Dunwoody, a suburb in metro Atlanta, and then as the Director of Community Development in Grovetown, nestled between rural Georgia and Augusta. In these roles, I dealt directly with citizens on a daily basis and implemented a variety of reforms to help drive their communities toward their vision. These opportunities have taught me several valuable lessons about development in this country. First, while it is perhaps cliche, every community is different, and there's nothing more intimate and personal to a community than the nature of its housing stock. My home of Columbia County, Georgia, directly borders the city of Augusta, and the vision the citizens of these two communities have for their futures are almost polar opposites. This is to say nothing about the differences between these communities and those in Metro Atlanta, let alone across this vast nation of ours. Second, government regulation, even at the smallest levels, has a way of stifling development. Many builders in Georgia, who wanted nothing more than to add affordable homes to their communities, have a story to tell about me as a local government servant, having to shepherd them through the endless, costly hoops to do so. I've spent innumerable hours of my career rewriting ill-conceived sign regulations, antiquated zoning codes, and onerous tree ordinances, and then maneuvering the time-consuming public process to get them adopted. This lost time and money leads to a simple result: less affordable homes for hardworking Americans. The issues the position for which I am nominated addresses, community development, disaster relief, and homelessness, are issues that manifest locally and are solved locally. Misplaced federal regulation will only serve to magnify the challenges felt at the local level. The Department of Housing and Urban Development can empower our states and localities to solve these issues. But the current state of affairs makes clear that our old strategies have not worked.
Okay, bigger
In the previous administration, housing prices skyrocketed to unfathomable
Flex and UHS.
levels.
Watch some other
I
travels
watched it firsthand
and
in
energy.
Georgia, as new
And,
developments
all the
ultimately
chips
took
still.
the entry price off of their signs because they could not keep up with the constant inflation. Despite the HUD budget nearly doubling over the previous 4 years, we nonetheless saw a record number of homeless Americans reported in the latest point-in-time count released in January of this year. Through the money it distributes, the Office of Community Planning and Development can be a catalyst for real change at the ground level. But this capacity has too long been hampered by wasteful spending, burdensome regulation, and outdated performance metrics. I echo Secretary Turner's pledge to make HUD's use of its resources more effective and efficient, and that starts by taking inventory of what we have been doing and moving with urgency towards the outcomes we all desire. President Trump has made clear we need to lower the price of housing in this nation, and we need to decrease the number of homeless Americans. These goals will not be realized in DC. They will be achieved in real America through the public, private,
yeah, but I don't know what's going on with
Intel.
Intel. You've had double back-to-back weird algo candles, but they're legit.
If confirmed,
okay, now you're back up to open. Chips
necessary
are doing good in general.
To ensure HUD continues to aid in creating strong, sustainable,
chips,
inclusive
SMH on the high, and
quality,
Intel.
affordable.
All right, you're about to go up to the high, bro.
Again, thank you for your consideration of my nomination.
CBRL on Cracker Barrel.
Thank you, Mr. Kurtz. Dr. Myron, you're next. Proceed.
Dr. Myron. Yeah, CBRL popping on
Thank you
Trump.
for those kind words, Chairman
get you
Scott.
the truth.
Ranking Member Warren, distinguished members of the committee, it is a great privilege to sit before you all today, though back in February I didn't imagine I'd be back so soon. I'm honored to be nominated by the President and considered by this esteemed group. As 32nd Chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, I've advised the President and his administration on fiscal and regulatory policies designed to achieve
usually
full
goes to
employment
truth
and stable
first.
prices.
So I don't see that one.
These goals are declared in the Employment
At least
Act
not
of
on Trump's
1946,
truth.
mirroring the mandates in the Federal Reserve Act. And the responsibilities
that's
of
old.
both the CEA and the Federal Reserve to
That's
advance
old. Please don't
America's
post
economic
that.
prosperity
That's
are
it,
further
dude.
developed
That was
in the
like
Full
3 days
Employment
ago.
and Balanced Growth
That's
Act
all
of
fake.
1978. The
Not
two
down, brother,
organizations
not down.
share common goals, but enjoy different means. I've been studying and writing about monetary policy and macroeconomics for 2 decades, beginning with my doctoral research in economics at Harvard. I am thankful to have been advised by my CEA predecessor, Marty Feldstein. For the majority of my career, I was active in public markets, particularly interest rates and currencies.
Damn, they got
I learned
ivermectin
firsthand
ads
the substantial
on
sway
Truth
that
Social.
monetary policy and market structure hold over the price and availability of
Yeah,
credit.
it's not. It's on his
But
Twitter.
those borrowing
but
costs are not just
it's a
a Wall Street
repost of
phenomenon.
something old.
Purchasing a car or a home are major milestones in pursuit of the American dream. Affordability and interest rates affect decisions to have children or start a business. The flow of credit and liquidity is central to America's banking system, and by extension, global capital markets. The Fed's role safeguarding these is of paramount importance. In my view, the most important job of the central bank is to prevent depressions and hyperinflations. Independence of monetary policy is a critical element for its success. Given the central bank's outsized role in the economy, it's no surprise that outsiders have opined on its decisions for decades. However, if confirmed, I plan to dutifully carry out my role pursuant to the mandates assigned by Congress.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with PayPal.
My opinions and decisions will be based on my analysis of the macroeconomy
Yang
and
on
what's
the
best
high,
for its
China
long-term
dumping.
stewardship. The Federal Open Market Committee is an independent group with a monumental
Why is
task,
LMT
and I
ripping?
intend to preserve that independence and serve the American people to the best of my ability. But the Fed's operations extend well beyond this scope.
NVIDIA, Intel, AMD,
Managing financial system
WGC, they're
liquidity
doing
is
good.
a
and
complex
oil's
exercise
popping.
requiring regular
Yo,
fine-tuning.
bro, something's
The Fed
happening.
oversees the most important global financial institutions. It sets
Okay, so this is the guy we're listening for him, but you got oil moving around pretty big. You got China and a couple of other things right now. So we'll see. Yeah, the CBRL thing, if it hits Twitter, I see that, but I'm trying to explain to you guys that Donald Trump posted that several days before. So if it hits his Twitter late, yeah, but
moderate long-term
the
interest
stock
rates.
already reacted.
If
they
confirmed,
already did this.
I will
You're
transparently and
repumping
honestly
it.
work towards that
Even
pursuit
if he's repumping
with the goal of
it,
preserving
so,
a stable and healthy
yeah.
economy that
Not
benefits
down.
all Americans. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Terrible. I think it was like 4 days ago. It was on this one. This is the last time he did
Mr.
it.
Pickerton.
That's what I'm saying. You're doing
Chairman
it all
Scott,
over again.
Ranking Member Warren, and
But you
distinguished
are
members
the
of
reaction
committee,
function.
It's an honor to be nominated for this role and a privilege to be before you today. I'd like to thank President Trump and Secretary Bessent for this opportunity. I'd also like to thank my parents, Sally and Ray. I'm happy to be joined today by friends and family, including my sister Mary, her husband Tom, and my wonderful wife Amanda, who has a small business bakery in our hometown of Tillman, a small village in Maryland on the Chesapeake Bay, where I serve in the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary. The role of Assistant Secretary for Investment Security is critical to both the national security and economic growth of our country. As President Trump and Secretary Bessent have made clear, America is open for business, but we must be vigilant to ensure that that business does not jeopardize our country's safety or unwittingly advance any malicious interests of our adversaries. By way of academic background, I hold a law degree, a master's in public affairs with a concentration in international economics, as well as university certificates in data analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. I've taught enterprise risk
WDC on the
management
high,
at
but
both
then
law and
Baba on
business
the
schools,
low.
and have served as a
Couple
Fulbright
more
teaching
airlines
scholar
moving. Now you got
overseas.
SMCI and then a couple
Among
med
my
device
professional
plays.
roles, my career began clerking at the DOJ's Organized Crime and Racketeering Section and the Office of International Affairs Criminal Division, as well as the State Department's Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement. I went on to serve as a narcotics and money laundering prosecutor in New York City, working closely with the brave men and women of the NYPD, FBI, DEA, and a host of other federal agencies and joint terrorism and intelligence task forces, including through the terrorist acts of 9/11. I've also worked as senior enforcement counsel at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, investigating domestic and international businesses, along with other private sector legal and global compliance roles in the financial services arena, including foreign regulatory analysis, corporate due diligence, and geopolitical risk evaluation. I also served at the U.S. Small Business Administration as both its general counsel and acting administrator. It was an honor to support so many entrepreneurs, including in areas such as DoD procurement, supply chain infrastructure, cybersecurity protocols, and the development of critical national security technologies through the agency's Small Business Innovation Research, Technology Transfer, and Investment Company programs. Also, as the White House's Executive Director of the Opportunity Now initiative in 2020, I worked with many state and local leaders and assisted in the implementation of several of the bipartisan COVID-era economic programs. I've also been an executive at the leading community development financial institution, helping to scale underserved small businesses across our country, and most recently have been the principal deputy general counsel at the Treasury Department, supporting core domestic and international programs, including ongoing engagement with the intelligence and law enforcement communities on global threat assessments and security matters. This is a critical time for our nation. Economic growth is a priority, and international investment will play a significant role by creating jobs, strengthening manufacturing, and advancing technologies that will propel America forward. That said, vigilance around just how foreign investment is introduced into this country is critical, as our adversaries will continue to be relentless in efforts to undermine our country's assets, technological competencies, and private data. There can be no compromise of America's talent and treasure, and if given the opportunity to be confirmed, I will be resolute in this charge and commit to work closely with this committee to achieve this goal. Given my background and experience, I believe I'm well positioned to execute the responsibilities of this role alongside the committed career professionals at the Treasury Department. My thanks to all of you for your consideration, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Burke.
Thank you. Chairman Scott, Ranking Member Warren, and distinguished members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I am humbled and grateful to have been nominated to serve as the Assistant Secretary for the Treasury for Terrorist Financing. I thank President Trump for offering me this opportunity and Secretary Bessent for his confidence and support of my nomination. I would also like to acknowledge the love and encouragement of my wife, Katie, and my sons, Chandler and Greer, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. They recognize the value of service to our country and the sacrifice that often entails. And I want to thank my parents, Terry and Marilyn, and my brother Ryan, who is here today, for instilling that value in me. Many other family, friends, and colleagues, including 3 of my best friends who have traveled up from Georgia to be here, have also offered their support and confidence in what I may bring to this role. I am deeply grateful to all of them. Mr. Chairman, the office that I am nominated to lead celebrated its 20th anniversary last year. Throughout its history, this office has played a key role in combating the biggest threats to our national security and to the integrity of our financial system. Financial measures, including sanctions, are important tools in the U.S. arsenal to respond to geopolitical challenges and counter threats to the safety of the American people and our economy. And thanks to Treasury's work, the ability of both the domestic and international financial systems and of partner governments around the world to combat these threats has grown stronger. Treasury plays a critical role in setting policy and strategy to directly combat illicit finance, protect the integrity of the financial system, and support U.S. foreign policy objectives. If confirmed for the role of Assistant Secretary for Terrorist Financing, it would be a privilege for me to return to lead this office where I previously served as a civil servant from 2008 to 2012. It was during this time that I developed a deep understanding of the intersection between illicit finance and national security. For example, I played a key role in Treasury's efforts to use sanctions to combat Iran's illicit access to the international financial system. I also supported our policy efforts to strengthen regulatory frameworks for anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing. However, policy is only half of the story. Since leaving Treasury, I've also been on the front lines of financial warfare, managing the implementation of sanctions in the private sector. Working in industry, I observed rapid geopolitical shifts, the proliferation of digital finance, and constantly evolving financial crime risks. As a compliance officer at a global U.S. bank, I experienced firsthand the challenges of implementing financial crime policies and regulations across many different countries with divergent, often conflicting requirements. For U.S. businesses, navigating these complexities in a constantly changing environment is increasingly challenging. Finance is now inseparable from technology, and innovation has given rise to complex financial supply chains where criminals and sanction parties can hide their identities, obscure the purpose of their business, send funds instantaneously, and quickly adapt. The Treasury Department must now match this pace of innovation and change in its fight against financial crime in several ways. First, it must identify new vulnerabilities in the financial ecosystem before they are exploited. Second, it must promote a risk-based regulatory regime that is aligned with 21st century risks, is effective, and supports global competitiveness for American businesses. Third, sanctions and other financial measures should have a clear objective, coupled with clear messaging to industry on expectations for implementation and compliance. And fourth, it should encourage and incentivize the private sector's innovative capabilities through constructive engagement without fear of technical non-compliance. There is an entire profession within the financial services industry dedicated to combating financial crime. We should leverage that commitment and expertise. These will be the keys to preserving the success of Treasury's past efforts and continuing its mission into a future of financial innovation and safe economic growth. If confirmed, I will strive to bring to the Treasury both practical insights and a clear vision to support this important work to protect the United States and the integrity of our financial system. I would like to thank the committee for its time and consideration. I would be honored to have your vote and return to the Treasury to support this critical mission. I would be happy to respond to any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burt. We'll now go into the Q&A from the members' perspective. I'll hold all of us to 5 minutes. We have a lot of noms to get through, so please be sensitive to the clock and to the gavel. Dr. Meyer, let me start with you. We had a conversation. My first, second, I think third question had to do with the independence of the Fed. I think the Federal Reserve needs to remain quite and completely clear in its independence. Certainly, as I said on the call, you share President Trump's vision for what it takes to move our economy forward. But I want to make sure that the answers that you gave when we were talking are still the answers that you have now as it relates to your role as a governor of the Fed and not as the chairman of the CAE.
Thank you, Senator. I couldn't be, and thank you for the opportunity to discuss these issues with you on the phone prior to the hearing. I couldn't be more in agreement that independence of the central bank is of paramount importance for the economy, for financial markets, for the long-run stewardship of the country. All of those are completely, I'm in complete accord with. Look, the president nominated me because I have policy views that I suppose that he liked. If I'm confirmed to this role, I will act independently, as the Federal Reserve always does, based on my own personal analysis of economic data, my own personal analysis of the effects of economic policies upon the economy, and act based on my judgment of the best economic policy possible. That said, I'm always happy to hear views from every source possible. It's important to me to hear a variety of views to make sure that I really do think that the things that I think, to challenge my own views and interrogate them, and hearing a variety of views on that matter is always helpful.
I'll tell you, Dr. Meyer, one of the things I like about you is that you're clear, you're consistent, and you've been honest. And you have been clear with me and consistent with me and honest with me, and I appreciate that a lot. I do think that I want to reinforce the importance of the Fed's independence because it is something that I actually believe is paramount for our country and for our economy. That said, the current construct of the Fed has led me, especially under Michael Barr's supervision when he was the vice chair of supervision, I had real challenges with Basel III. I could not figure out why every time I heard Jay Powell talk, he said that the amount of reserves we had was about right, but it kept going up every year. And so my question to you really is about the Basel III and the supplementary leverage ratio reform and the immediate priorities that you would take on at the Fed. Can you briefly describe your plans to ensure that the capital framework is looked at holistically so that financial institutions are not forced to keep capital on the sidelines, which ultimately limits access to credit for Americans? We are in a homeowners crisis. We need more small businesses starting. They need access to capital. How do you tackle that?
Ooh,
Thank you, Senator.
New price on UPS.
I agree, or I share some of your concerns around Basel III and some of the regulations entailed in that process.
We did it, Joe.
I do believe there needs to be a fulsome process of the Fed for thinking about not only the benefits of regulations, but the costs as well, and thinking about the consequences of those regulations for the provision of credit into the economy. And exactly along the lines that you were discussing before, are small businesses going to be able to get credit? Are various borrowers in the economy that need that credit, are they going to be able to get it? And so I do think it is time for a fulsome examination of the process, of the regulatory process, to sort of think about where we want it to be going
Fig
forward.
Is
and
waking
I'm very
up.
happy to work on that.
The biggest candle all day.
I'll finish with you with this last thought. The more incentives that there are in place for banks to leave more capital on the sidelines,
I think UPS,
whatever
the only downside catalyst besides other things
is
just if they cut that dividend
small
or not.
business owners.
That's
and
it.
for those
That's your
first-time
final
home
next
buyers.
catalyst.
I'll leave it there. Mr. Hobbs, your work on opportunity
If that
zones is something
payout
I
ratio
celebrate.
wasn't
Obviously,
so
it's something
high,
that I
it'd
have
be
a great respect for is your work ethic. Walk me through the lessons that you learned working on opportunity zones and what that means for our economy and frankly for providing more apartments, more housing, and frankly diversity in the housing space is incredibly important, as we're seeing for the first time in I think 4 decades the First-time home buyers' average age is 38. You have about 40 seconds to finish up.
Thank you, Senator, and it's a pleasure to be here. Great to see you. Very quickly, I worked on the implementing regulations for the tax incentive, and I also worked as part of the White House Opportunity and Revitalization Council. There, we targeted, streamlined, and coordinated over 150 different federal programs to opportunity zones, which drove both public and private investment in some of these distressed neighborhoods. It's vitally important. My hometown has an opportunity zone, and I know it's lifted at least 1 million people out of poverty.
Thank you with 6 seconds to spare. Appreciate that. Ranking Member Warren.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Chairman, I agree with you.
The genius.
I think the independence of
smartest
the Fed
in the
is
room.
absolutely paramount.
Bring her.
But we cannot ignore the elephant in the room, and that
Yes.
is that President Trump has launched an all-out assault on the independence of the Federal Reserve.
He did.
Dr. Myron has said
Yes.
that, quote, to pretend that one can easily shift between highly political and allegedly non-political roles without letting political biases inform policy is at best naive and at worst sinister. So that's what you're about to do. Go from a highly political role to a non-political role. And since you
looks
described
way bigger
how
on
you'll be
there.
informed by your
No, it
political
hit lower,
biases,
bro. That hit
I
a
think
dollar
the American
lower. What the
people
fuck?
have a right to understand.
Yeah, it had a big
just
glitch
how
candle.
independent
But that
you
printed, that was
are
real.
or
It's not
are
showing up
not.
on
So
E-Trade.
let's
It went
measure
$1
that a little
lower.
bit. Dr. Myron,
Keep eyes on
let's start
Oxy.
with an
Could
easy
be a glitch
question
or
to
it could
show
be
that
Buffett.
you have some independence from the president. Easy yes or no.
MDT
Did Donald
too.
Trump lose the 2020 presidential election?
Probably have to
No, it's a yes or no.
Microphone on, please.
Come on, and the chair is going to be tough on time. I just need a yes or no. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 presidential election?
Yeah, bro. Oxy's
Thank you,
tripping.
Senator Warren. Joe Biden was certified by Congress
don't know what it is.
as the president of the United States.
Right. So did Donald
Akazawa
Trump
to
lose
have
that
talks with
election?
Besant, Lutnick, and
As
Greer.
I just
That's
said, Joe
Japan.
Biden was
Did
certified
Donald
by
Trump
Congress.
lose that election? Can you say the
Meeting
words
with
Donald
Trump is
Trump
possible,
lost that
but not
election?
decided.
Are you independent enough to say that?
The Congress
Look at
certified
all of them turning
Joe
their heads.
Biden as president
All
of the
right,
United States.
so that was one. Let's try another. Let me ask you another question here. The Federal Reserve relies on accurate and unbiased data to make monetary policy.
Bitch, is it constitutional
including
to
data
force
produced
America
by
to
the Bureau
take a
of Labor
shot?
Statistics.
No.
President
Next
Trump recently
question.
fired the BLS commissioner, alleging that she, quote, faked the jobs numbers before the election. to
Yes, I've
try
been
and
saying
boost
Biden has been
Kamala's
faking data for
chances
5
of
fucking
victory.
years.
Do you agree
Literally.
with President Trump
And I get
that
banned
the BLS published
every
fake
time.
numbers to manipulate
yeah.
the outcome of
Next.
the 2024
fucking love
presidential
Elizabeth.
election?
Thank you for the question,
We need
Ranking
more
Member Warren.
geniuses like
Look,
her.
the data quality from the Bureau of
That's
Labor
not the
Statistics-
question about the data quality. Did, as President Trump said, the BLS publish fake numbers to manipulate the outcome of the 2024
Her points would be
presidential
valid if they
election?
didn't
This
do
is
it
what
themselves,
President
brother.
Trump said. Is
That's
he
the
right?
problem.
You're the head of the
That's the
Council of
problem I don't
Economic
like with
Advisors.
Democrats
The
and
Bureau
this
of Labor
lady
Statistics
especially.
data
Is
on
that
various
you
measures
think
has
she's
deteriorated
accusing people?
steadily
She's
in
just
quality
telling you
over
exactly
time.
what
I
she has done
understand
already.
that you may have questions
That's why I
about
get
the
really
data
bothered
quality,
by
but I want to remind
these
you
liars.
that when the data
I'm not really
seemed to
bothered.
show
I
that
just make
Donald
fun of
Trump's
them in
jobs
truth.
numbers were doing
Because
well,
humor
I
will
didn't
let you
hear
highlight the reality.
say a single word about problems with data quality. The only time you started questioning data quality was when the numbers started showing
I was
that Trump's
questioning it for the
economy
last
was
half a
headed in
decade.
the wrong direction.
Like, actually, I
so
can
let
show
me
you
ask
every video.
third time. We want to understand your independence. Donald Trump stated
You don't
that,
see the
that
erosion
the
of democracy?
BLS
How come you
faked
didn't see it in
job
the last
numbers
48 months?
before the election to try
Let's
and
see.
boost Kamala's chances of victory? Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Why
The Bureau
didn't
of
you
Labor
see that in
Statistics did
September
not
of
take corrective
2024?
action to improve the quality of steadily
Do you
deteriorating
How come
agree
when
with
people
the statement that they
have you ever
faked
asked somebody
numbers?
who
I
had to
believe
get
that
a
they were
shot that
complacently
they didn't
allowing
want
the
to?
data
Have you
Did
ever
you
asked them? I
have
have.
any evidence
Have you
that
seen
they
what they
faked
have
numbers?
to tell you?
Well,
with shame?
as I said a moment ago, the data
Because
have steadily
that was an
deteriorated in
erosion of
quality, and I'm-
Okay, in
democracy.
other
You
words,
didn't. You weren't
just
scared.
two straightforward
No,
questions
seriously,
about
though,
your
think about it.
independence, and you've blown
You know how
both
many
of them.
bills and money
so let's shift
Biden
to the
spent without
inflation
any
caused
approval?
by President's economic
And then he had courts and
policies,
people
which
backing him
you've
up,
had a
and it had
key
an
role in
impact on
designing.
inflation and money
You've
supply.
claimed, for example, that
You are not
consumers
worried
thus
about
far
an
have
eroding
not seen
democracy?
any material macroeconomic increase from tariffs
with you, but where is it?
Your statement. The numbers do not back you up. Since January, cost of groceries is up. Cost of utilities is up.
That's why this lady is terrible.
Cost of housing is up. Cost of back-to-school shoes is up. Cost of backpacks and baby strollers up. Dr. Myron, the data say that costs for basic necessities are going up. But it's not just the reported numbers. Fed
She was
Governor
advocating
Waller,
a rate cut a
President
year
Trump
ago.
appointed, private sector forecasters, small businesses, and families are all telling us that the costs are up. Do you think those families and data experts are lying?
Senator, thank you for the question. I believe your question is conflating relative price increases with inflation, which is an increase in the aggregate price level. There has been no detectable increase in the aggregate price level as a result of tariffs.
There have
Dr.
been relative
Myron,
price changes, you have made clear that you will do or say whatever Donald Trump wants you to do or say, and that may work in a political position, but it takes an axe to Fed independence and will make life far more expensive for American families. I apologize for going over.
Senator Rounds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No. Now you have to watch her in her true form.
Do you regret saying that President Biden had a mental acuity? Do you regret saying that President Biden had a mental acuity? He had a sharpness to him. You said that up until July of last year.
I said what I believe to be true.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
She laughs at you, brother. She laughs at you.
I said I had not seen decline.
I have not. Then she turns into a lawyer, just like Trump.
And I hadn't at that point.
You did not see any decline from 2024 Joe Biden to 2021 Joe Biden?
Not when I said that. You know, the thing is, he was sharp. He was on his feet. I saw him. Live event. I had meetings with him a couple of times.
Senator, on his feet.
You get to see her standard. That's why I can't take any of the premises, guys. It's very odd. And at least I don't think Donald Trump is perfect, but I at least kind of know what he's doing. Does that make sense? I don't like people who say one thing and do the opposite. I really, at least you know, and there is scary stuff, and you could say erosion, but you see what Donald Trump is doing and for who he's doing it for. These people are liars. That's why Elizabeth Warren is a very bad, that's why I'm saying, bro, I feel bad because you know how many of you I've had to I feed you to the wolves, or I've had to work so hard to break you out of the propaganda that lady has done damage. She's done damage to some of the young minds, bro. So that's why I'm saying you could be like, you see people and you see certain things. I do see authoritarianism in Donald, but I saw it the last 4 years and I was screaming about it and I was getting punished for it. And none of you said anything. You didn't defend me. You didn't change your mind. You didn't do anything, actually. So, and that's fine. I'm not mad at you. You see how I am now. I benefited off of it. I still did very good in my career and other things, and that's how you should be. And I'm still a happy person, and that's how you all should be too. But yeah, I'm just saying, some of the selective outrage, and if you're truly racking your mind over these lying politicians, I wouldn't, especially when you got to see reality. And if you're gonna genuinely live in fear today, when the stimulus for that fear was every day over the last 4 years, my brother, that's just the phobia. Yeah, there's nothing. I don't think you have anything to be afraid of right now, except for missing opportunity, and you shouldn't. So get a long term and save 10%, and you'll have nothing to fear. Very simple.
Everyone sharing their views.
Didn't, as part of your role as chairman of the Board of Economic Advisors, wasn't part of that to carry for the president the message that you believed was appropriate to improve the quality of life for Americans by improving the economy? And wouldn't it be reasonable that you would have a very similar point of view than the president did? Otherwise, why would he be working with you, and why would you be working with him on trying to formulate those views in the first place?
Thank you, Senator. Yes, as the Council of Economic Advisors is tasked by the Congress with advising the president on appropriate fiscal and regulatory policy to achieve full employment and stable prices and prosperity through the American economy. The president selects people based on his evaluation of their qualifications and their policies. And I assume that he nominated me to the previous position because he liked my policy views.
You were asked by the ranking member a number of questions in pretty fast order. I want to give you an opportunity. Anything in particular that you'd like to clarify or make more clear with regard to any of the comments? I'm just going to give you just a few seconds here.
He's a Trump supporter, so I'll mute it for you. I agree with you guys. Past wrongs don't cancel out or excuse new wrongs. I agree with you. Let's just be real. You guys are liars. That's all. You're not scared. You're not worried. That's it. Let's just be real. You guys are fucking liars. That's all. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. You guys are all fucking liars. Past wrongs, I'm not using that framework. I'm just saying, when you guys keep typing you're scared and you're worried, I don't think you are. I think you're trying to influence other people's behavior. And because I don't think you're really scared. And if you are, you're a bitch. Because why would you be scared? So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why is that so hard to comprehend? I think you guys are faking it. You're not really scared. You're not really worried. There's not really that big of a risk but you keep repeating it over and over again. And the way you guys communicate it is in a dramatic fashion. And you're trying to get people to be afraid and be dramatic. That's what happened in April. And we made a lot of money. And a lot of people missed out because you guys were repeating lies and lying. Just a lie. You're not genuine. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't agree with Donald Trump on everything, but I like genuine. Tell me what you're really doing and tell me how you really feel. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's a lie. It just really, really is a lie that you guys are that worried, because look around and you've lived through way more worrying things and you are living so nice. You guys had no, so it's a lie. That's all I'm saying. It's just not, I'm having trouble being empathetic to that when I'm like, you guys are making it up. I think you're lying. I don't see it as honest. So it is what it is. What happened to my, am I out? Did they cut me out? I think I might be cut it out, bro. Oh, my E-Trade went out.
And the
Yeah,
Eccles
E-Trade's
building,
gone.
which is the executive office building, one of them. Oh, no, excuse me, that's the Federal Reserve. So what is your current job now?
Thank you for the question, Senator.
What is your current job?
My current job is the chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors.
In the White House, thank you. And so you're
my shit just turned off.
basically a living proof of the criticism that you lodged against the Federal Reserve Board, correct? You're a political partisan who works in the White House, who might be bright, but is ideologically disposed to the politics of Donald Trump.
Thank you, Senator. As I said a few moments ago, I view the act of deciding that the Federal Reserve is the institution to take on climate change as a highly political, non-technocratic act. And if I am confirmed to the Federal Reserve, I'll make it my goal to keep the Federal Reserve to its core missions.
That's an interesting concept, because in my other capacity in national security, the Department of Defense is extremely sensitive to climate change because it is altering the threats that face us every day. And I'll speak for myself, but anybody who believes climate change is mythical is essentially posturing. Now, you're a member of the Council of Economic Advisors. If you're confirmed, will you resign from the council?
Thank you, Senator. I have received advice from counsel that what is required is an unpaid leave of absence from the Council of Economic Advisors. And so, considering the term for which I'm being nominated is a little bit more than 4 months, that is what I will be taking. As long as that is the advice of counsel, I will follow the law.
Well, your independence has already been seriously compromised by your statement. You are going to be technically an employee of the President of the United States, but an independent member of the board of the Federal Reserve? That's ridiculous. And you also said that a Federal Reserve Board member should refrain from involvement for 4 years after he leaves office with any executive branch. Are you committed to that also?
Thank you, Senator. Look, I'm committed to the independence of the Federal Reserve. I have in the past proposed a suite of reforms to improve governance of the Federal Reserve. That suite was a package deal. It was a system of checks and balances designed to diffuse political power and isolate the Fed from political interference. It would be inappropriate to take one check or balance away from the entire suite and think about implementing it.
So the answer is no. So you're going to be a consistent leader. You're going to be an employee of the President of the United States on leave. So he can call you up in his capacity as president and say, here, I want you to do this, this, and this. Well, I guess I have to do it since I'm an employee of the president. That is absolutely ridiculous. Now, finally, you noted last year, in quote, that the firing for cause protections under the law were inappropriate, and you recommended Congress remove those protections. You went on to recommend that to provide constitutional legitimacy if and when the president is allowed to fire governors at will, the president should voluntarily announce that he will refrain from removing any incumbent board members or Federal Reserve Bank leaders through their terms. If the courts grant President Trump the authority to fire federal governors for any reason at any time, will you commit to advising the president publicly to refrain from exercising this authority consistent with your recommendations in 2024?
Thank you, Senator. As I said just a few moments ago, that proposal was a package deal. It was a suite of checks and balances, and it's highly inappropriate to take one check or balance outside of the context of the overall package. Checks and balances work between the Congress and the executive and the judiciary, the two chambers of Congress, because they all work in conjunction and prevent power from being concentrated.
So the answer is no, and that you will cooperate if he tries through any means to eliminate a member of the Federal Reserve Board. Thank you very much.
Senator Kennedy.
This is why we're here, you guys. You don't understand.
Dr. Myron,
exactly.
Do presidents, any president, generally appoint their enemies?
I love him,
Senator, for the question.
Just answer it. Do you appoint your enemy, yes or no?
I believe that when they nominate them,
do they generally appoint their enemies?
They don't believe they are when they're.
Look at that, just
simple
presidents, fucking
any president.
Louisiana
generally
asked dude just to ask. That's it. Look at that.
That they agree with on social and economic policy.
I believe that presidents appoint people whose.
That's a yes, isn't it?
Yes.
Because we live in the real world, don't we?
Yes.
Because we live in the real world.
Are you personally responsible
for
everything President Trump says?
No, my role as the chairman of the...
Before President Trump says something as President of the United States, does he call you up and say, Stephen, I'm about to say this and I want your approval? Does he do that?
Never.
And after the president says something,
see, that's the genuine.
Call you up and say, Stephen, was reality. Are you okay with this?
Nope, I have an advisory role.
Okay. Now, sometimes intelligent adults, reasonable people disagree. Is that true?
Very often.
Is it part of your job description when you disagree with something the president says to call a press conference and say, he's wrong about this and let me explain to you why? Is that part of your job description?
Not as CH.
Is that part of the job description of any aide that you know of to President Biden?
I love him, bro.
No.
How about for President Obama?
No.
How about for President Clinton?
No.
We don't live in La La Land, do we?
We don't live in La La Land, exactly.
No.
Now,
they all have a
monetary
smile.
Policy is important.
Everybody in the crowd has a smile.
And the Fed is in charge of it. But monetary policy is not the only thing that's important. Fiscal policy is important, isn't it?
Fiscal policy is extremely important.
And I don't care how low the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates. If the United States Congress is profligate in its spending, if it spends money like it's pond water, if it runs up $37 trillion in debt, and deficit spends to the tune of 7% every year, that also has an impact on employment and economic growth and inflation, does it not?
Absolutely, and I think people often make a mistake by looking solely at monetary policy when fiscal policy huge driver.
And in fact, the Federal Reserve can lower short-term rates through the Open Market Committee all you want. But that doesn't necessarily mean that long rates, 10 years and above, are going to go down, does it?
Not necessarily.
Right, because if the bond market counts too, doesn't it?
Of course.
If the bond, you can lower rates as low as you want to, but if the bond market thinks that inflation is on the horizon, those rates are going to keep going up or at least stay steady. Isn't that accurate?
Yes, the Federal Reserve does not control the long end of the yield curve.
Okay, so what Congress does matters, doesn't it?
Hugely.
My good friend Senator Warren says, you're Donald Trump's puppet.
Woo!
Are you Donald Trump's puppet?
Not at all. I'm very independently minded, as shown by my willingness to stray from consensus and have out of consensus views. And I believe that, I will continue to be as independent, in my thinking process, if confirmed.
So you're not the puppet?
We're going to hold you to that, Governor.
Show me your arms. Can you hold your arms up?
You need to call
now cross them. Show me you could cross them.
There's nothing wrong with politicians in Washington offering their opinions. You can't stop them.
And you guys know they're allowed to lie at all of these, right? Like congressionally, they have congressional protection to lie.
A monetary plan that was put together by something other than vodka and darts. And that's what we had the Federal Reserve for. Now, you're going to get a lot of advice from politicians. I'm not saying they're always wrong. Even a blind chicken finds a mealworm now and then. But you've got
even
to
a blind chicken
like
finds a mealworm every now and then.
And ignore, nothing wrong with people giving their advice, but ignore all the rhetoric from all politicians. Will you give me that commitment?
I do commit to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator.
That was amazing.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Dr. Myron, I wanted to just pick up on something that you said earlier. So if I heard you correctly, if you are confirmed to this, you are not going to resign from your current position at the White House?
Thank you, Senator. I have been advised.
Is that motherfucker try to sell me Ethereum treasury? I'm gonna turn this shit off, bro.
Unpaid leave of absence from the Council
I'm gonna
of
do it.
Advisors.
I'm telling you right now.
My CE activities.
He got the voice sounds similar. I'm like, wait a minute.
Me otherwise, I will follow the law and follow Council's advice.
I don't know who he is.
I guess I
feel like he about to sell me a Ethereum treasury.
Advise you in that way. You have every right to just say, no, I'm going to resign.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't answer why they advise me that way. But
you can determine your own career. You know that, right?
No, yes, I know that. And
yeah,
and
so you want to go back to the Council on Economic Advisors after this term? Is that correct?
Well, I don't know what will happen. The term for which I've been nominated is 4.5 months. If I am nominated and confirmed for a longer term than just a handful of months, I would absolutely resign.
So I guess you try to excuse this by saying that this is because the whole package of reforms wasn't adopted, but I guess I just want to read your own words back to you. You said short-circuiting the revolving door between the Fed and the executive branch is critical to reducing the incentives for officials to act in the short-term political interest of the president. Do you still agree with that statement?
Thank you, Senator. As I said before, I believe that reform of the Fed has to be...
I get that. I understand your excuse on that front, but do you agree with the statement I just read back to you?
I think that considerations like that need to be taken in context of an overall package of reforms and not looked at in isolation.
Okay, well, look, I think that this very clearly shows that the reason we don't want actions like what is happening before us is because you could very well be continuing to act in a way that is in the political interest of the president because he is going to be your future boss again at the White House. And so it's one of those things where I'm just trying to think about why do you even want this job at the Fed for 4 months if you're just hedging your bets and just continuing to hold your position at the White House. I want to just continue on a little bit here because you said something I wanted to dig into. You said excessive control by elected political actors, parentheses, like the president, interferes in good policy and results in bad economic outcomes. Is that something you said?
Senator, I believe that political interference in monetary policy and making decisions, sort of can erode the outcomes, and that it's important for the Federal Reserve to be insulated from the political cycle.
Okay, insulated from the political cycle. And here you said excessive control. What is excessive control?
Well, I don't have a precise formal definition of that in my head, Senator.
Oh, intelligence.
Okay, well, I guess maybe I'll walk you through a couple of things here. You were saying that you'd like to clarify that members serve at the will of the U.S. president.
Senator, I believe that members can be removed for I believe the Federal Reserve Act specifies that members can be removed for cause after they've been.
I know. I'm just looking at your list of reforms that you like, and it sounded like you said clarify that the members serve at the will of the president. I guess I wanted to just ask you, would it be appropriate for a new president to come in, get rid of everybody on the board, and put in entirely new appointments at the beginning of each presidency? Is that appropriate?
You're referring to the reform proposal, not to current law.
I'm referring to your beliefs, yes.
Well, so as I said before, the reform proposal was a package deal with a series of checks and balances, and that was one check, but there's offset by other balances and other checks that would diffuse power throughout the Federal Reserve System. That's why we refer to it as a form of monetary federalism.
You also said, quote, political independence is inherently undemocratic. Can you explain that to me?
Yes. So if you had a Federal Reserve that was entirely, completely independent, with no ability for the president to appoint officials, no ability for the Senate to provide its advice and consent, no ability for the Senate to hold hearings where they receive answers to their questions by Federal Reserve officials, I think that would be profoundly undemocratic. And I think it's important that we have democratic oversight, as an example, when the Senate holds its hearings, getting testimony from Federal Reserve officials.
One final question here. Has anyone in the administration asked you to commit formally or informally to vote to lowering interest rates?
No.
With that, I yield back.
Thank you. Senator Ricketts.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, for holding this hearing, and thank you to our panelists, our nominees, and your willingness to serve our great nation. The Ranking Member was talking about inflation. I might note that on Labor Day, the average price of gas was $3.15 a gallon, and that's the lowest it's been since 2020. And people in my state tend to drive a lot, and that's a big factor in household income and inflation. And to me, that says that the president's policies of unleashing American energy are important. And that also actually rolls into another thing that's important for my state of Nebraska, which is ethanol. Actually, last time I filled up with ethanol, it was saved me 45 cents a gallon versus the regular 89 octane. So everybody can fill up on ethanol, save money at the pump, clean up the environment. It's great for our farmers and ranchers. And you may say, why are you talking about that right now? Because I'm going to roll into another topic that is of interest here, which is communist China.
Oh yeah, I was on mute.
They want to.
I was saying the chips they keep going up here,
and they've made it clear that they are going to use every lever of power to be able to undermine our national security. Confronting this threat requires comprehensive strategy that strengthens our safety, our financial system, secures our critical assets, and closes loopholes for communist China to seek and exploit things in our system. And one of the things that includes is combating our foreign adversaries' ownership of American agricultural land, and thus the tie-in back to my state. In 2010, Communist China owned 13,720 acres of American farmland. In 2023, Communist China owned 277,000 acres of that farmland. And that is a threat to our national security. A lot of that, sometimes that farmland was located by our sensitive military installations.
MP now, too.
Mr. Pilkington, do you agree that that's a threat to our national security?
This is boring. You want to play ban roulette?
Senator, thank you very much for the question.
I can spice it up.
I share your concern. In fact, the Chinese penetration
the floor is lava. Go.
Agricultural land real estate, critical technologies.
I think that's a different
is
game,
something that
Josh.
we all should be very concerned about from a national security perspective.
Okay, you got a big red.
If I'm confirmed to lead the
Kind of,
CFIUS
not really.
committee,
Every
then I would
single
look
red has
forward
been
to
like that. You
working
get
with
the
you
low ticker
as well
pump,
as the members
but
around
then the
table,
candle's not that big.
including the observing member of U.S. Department of Agriculture, Secretary Brooke Rollins, who I've worked with very closely before. So I look forward to the opportunity to work with you, your staff, and this whole committee on these issues.
Well, good. I'll look
Okay,
forward to
oil
that.
and energy.
Under
There's
the,
a Russia
Agricultural
headline
Foreign
about
Investment
destroying
Disclosure Act, the
Ukrainian drone
foreign
launches.
entities
But like
are
I'm saying, you got a
required
couple
to
of things
disclose
drilling
the
into the
transactions
low.
of American
Risk
agricultural
on
land
like
to the
Bitcoin.
USDA. That's your comment about.
I don't think it's going to
Secretary
fuck up
Rollins.
the market though.
USDA then shares the data with CFIUS agencies so they can identify and review the transactions that pose national security risks. However, the Government Accountability Office, GAO, published a report on the AFIDA process which flagged incomplete data reporting, process errors, and delays. That's why I introduced the AFIDA Improvement Act. My bill will strengthen reporting requirements and improve data sharing coordination between USDA and
energy's
CFIUS
running.
so that national security risks tied to foreign land purchases are flagged immediately. I look forward to working with you on this issue and more when you are confirmed. In your view, what other enforcement gaps or vulnerabilities in the CFIUS process that pose these threats, or what poses the greatest risk or threat from our foreign adversaries? Are there other things in the CFIUS process we can improve upon?
Yeah,
Thank you for
it's
the
literally
question,
like a
Senator.
back.
If I
It's
have
like
the
half
opportunity to be
rotation, and then they
confirmed,
come back, and then they
obviously
rotate again.
CFIUS's focus is
That's why I say it's hella
national
weird, bro. Last 2
security.
days,
My
it hasn't really
priorities
been
are
a
going
clear
to be
cut one.
Just that, including focusing on the critical technologies, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, other areas where America is and will continue and must continue to be a leader. Another priority that I have is the non-notification of covered transactions. These are transactions that should be reported that are not reported. And one of the things that I want to do, if confirmed, is sit down with the entire team, including the advising groups, the intelligence community, law enforcement community that plays a role there, and find out how we can use the different tools and authorities that CFIUS has to advance that. Finally, I'd like to focus on compliance and enforcement. Obviously, there's a front-end review of the transactions that come through CFIUS, but many times there are
and China now even more. Pinduoduo was the one. That was the only one green. They were already getting wrecked.
Are abiding by the agreements that they enter into. I'd also like to say that I think it's incredibly important because I know that CFIUS and national security is a bipartisan matter. So having that feedback loop with the executive branch, this committee, and your colleagues is going to be very critical.
Yeah, great. I look forward to working with you on this. And one other thing I'll just mention is looking at process improvement to streamline your processes to be able to do this more efficiently.
Cardinal Health.
More of that later. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yo, CAH.
Thank you.
They might be at one of the events.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I loaded. Oh, they're shitty.
Mr. Mayor, and welcome to the committee. Thank you to the chair and ranking member.
Yeah, you don't really have any cheapies on that.
I just have a couple of straightforward questions for you, which will hopefully be easy to answer. So you currently work in the White House as an economic advisor to the president.
Do you hate your country? But that's not an easy question.
Thank you,
Why are you
Senator.
saying that?
That is
yeah,
correct.
KCAH is big. It's probably a conference.
Council of Economic Advisors.
It's conference, but I can't.
And so
I don't like the
in this
chain.
role, you've had a hands-on role in implementing the president's political and policy agenda. Would that be fair to say?
That is not correct, Senator. The Council of Economic Advisors is an advisory organization. I have no statutory implementation powers whatsoever.
Well, you've been described as the architect of the Trump tariffs and a vocal proponent of the One Big Beautiful Bill. So it seems to me that you've been part of the administration's policy and political agenda. Senator Kim
Intel is weird. Intel's below average volume,
about the
though.
paper that you co-authored that argued that
So like I'm saying, by this time, Intel, the last like 4 days, it would have less transactions or more transactions.
For officials to act in the short
I don't know what's going on. I'm just going through the volume
you wrote
thing.
This and I actually
it's legit
agree
though.
with
Those
it.
2 blocks
So,
are real.
Here's my concern.
But it's still behind.
Given the nature of your current
Higher than
role
like
and
a
your
month ago,
expressed
but
concern and mine
last week or so
for
by 10, 12
insulating
a.m.
the Fed
or 12
board
p.m.
members
here,
from the day-to-day
you would have like
political
23
process. I
at
just
low
don't
to like
understand
40 million in
how
volume.
Your
You're sitting at 20 million
nomination
right now.
doesn't break the rule or the goal that you've set out yourself.
Cardinal's
You
still dropping.
previously
You
said
could have
that
snagged
no
one, but I
can
just
go
didn't
from
like the
being
chain.
a high,
That hit now.
high,
If you
political
got one, but that was tough.
operative to being politically neutral. And I mean, I agree with you. When you have taken on a role of advocating, it's very hard to step away from that. And I don't know how you could be an exception to that. Last September, you criticized the Fed's decision to cut rates as the biggest policy mistake in 2021. But now, I mean, where do you stand on that? That President Trump is in office, you've done a complete 180. I don't understand.
So did Elizabeth Warren!
Now, and how can we expect you to be unbiased?
It's because we all agreed you shouldn't have cut it, and then you did.
Thank you for the question,
and
Senator.
then you fucking
as I was
spend
saying
the
to Senator Kennedy a few moments ago, I think it's a mistake to focus solely on monetary policy.
I think the
and
energy
thinking
could have
about
been the
path
drone
of
strikes.
inflation
Otherwise,
and
I didn't see
employment,
anything
and
else.
I think that the full suite of policies, economic and otherwise, affect those outcomes. And what the Fed ought to do is to be forward-looking in its expectations of where inflation and employment are going, because those are the mandates that Congress signed to it. My understanding of how economics works is that a wide variety of policies that have been implemented since January are actually quite disinflationary. And let me give you one example, which is the border policy, which you might not think of an economic policy, but the truth is that if you increase the number of occupants of housing by millions in a relatively short period of time without a dramatic expansion of the number of houses, it's going to put upward pressure on rents.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I know I just have a little bit of time left, and I'm not disagreeing with the fact that that the Fed has a broad portfolio and that it is a complex thing. But what I'm concerned about is because of the role that you've had in the Trump administration, and now as the president tries to move you to the Fed, that we are all so concerned about the open question about the independence of the Fed because of the things that President Trump has said. I mean, so
you guys are advocating a fucking cut before the election
about what's happening here.
It's one of the least independent things out there.
Rushed through because the president is frustrated with the Fed for not cutting rates, and he wants loyalists on the Fed board. I mean, that's just pretty obvious.
That's what I'm saying.
What's going on
Everything
here.
they accuse him of, they're doing. The whole Fed is loyalist to Biden in this. This is why it seems this way.
And also not lose sight of why the president wants to see rate cuts go down. Because
these are the boomers I don't like. You know what I'm saying?
Right now
because they got to live. Look how old this bitch is. Like, she's lived her whole life.
Else that he is
destroyed
doing,
this country. They get to do it all. And then at the last stages of their life, they want to play the game like they're.
My view here.
Meanwhile, we are the ones who are going to live with all the consequences.
Is that it is extremely important for this committee to take a stand against politicizing the Fed. That is the best thing for the long-term health of our economy, and that this is not the right step to take if that is our goal. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I was telling you, I've been saying this, that the Fed independence debate was a long time ago.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, ranking
and these
member.
people, that's why if you really cared about
Mr.
Fed
Myron,
independence,
I appreciate your conversation with me yesterday.
It's hard to take these people
Fed
seriously.
Independence and just taking so much time talking through questions with me. I look forward to supporting your nomination. To all of you, we appreciate you being here. Mr. Burke, I want to start with you. The role you've been nominated for, it focuses on counter-terrorist and illicit financing. And look, this is something that
Cardinal
we saw
hit, bro. If you got it, I should have took one. I just did not like that chain.
Go to the wayside.
My usual go-to wasn't there.
That's not using every tool in our toolbox to squeeze them dry financially. What happened
Ethereum,
was
Bitcoin led the way
first. Obviously moving into the oil regime. We now have an administration that is taking this seriously, understanding that Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorists, and every single dollar that they have, they use to advance that goal. My question for you is, looking at President Trump's maximum pressure campaign, driving that, I think we've seen real successes here, but can you speak generally to the seriousness of this, and how critical is it that we enforce the sanctions that are on the books to the fullest extent, particularly when we're talking about the Iranian regime?
Thank you, Senator. I very much appreciate the question, and I share your concern about the need for sanctions to be effective.
10 minutes till
Euro?
One
way to do that is to understand, and as you mentioned, President Trump has re-implemented the maximum pressure campaign on Iran. And I know from my previous time at Treasury working on that issue, what that actually means. It's a multifaceted approach. It's not just about imposing new sanctions on new targets.
I hope you
see
why.
By extensive
don't
diplomatic
solicit
engagement
shit, man. Just
with
come on.
partners and
I
allies
want you guys to give
around
good
the world,
info.
and also the private sector.
Don't give anybody
to
an
identify
idea,
the
even if it's
risks
one where
associated
they
with
might
exposure
like
to
it.
Iran, so they can take action as well.
You guys don't realize how pumpy that sounds.
Activity, and we've certainly seen that.
Like if I encountered you guys like randomly,
and that has,
and you said that, I would either stab you or run away. I'd be like stranger danger.
The system. We also saw
some of y'all type things, and I don't think you're that bad.
New sanctions.
I don't think you're a stranger danger, but how you guys pump stocks, it makes me feel stranger danger.
Very important to complement that maximum pressure.
Do you see that? Like a comment like that? Does that make sense?
The United States is intent.
ETF levered bull for anybody? Stranger danger. And then you run. That's a stranger. That's a stranger danger. That doesn't
made reference to some of the impacts that those actions have seen in terms of reducing Iran's oil revenue, but also reducing its ability and disrupting its ability to move funds and to move logistics around the world to procure or trade in oil. So if confirmed, I look forward to supporting that effort.
Excellent. I want to kind of drill down on secondary sanctions. I mean, we know, particularly in the last administration, where we had lax sanctions, where they weren't enforcing them, allowing countries in Southeast Asia to openly disregard our sanction policy and sell Iranian crude oil to China. We saw it happen. I think it's absolutely unacceptable. And I'd argue one of our most effective tools is actually secondary sanctions to discourage foreign countries and entities from doing business with Tehran. And I'd like to know, what are your thoughts on that, and how can we better utilize the secondary sanctions available to us to use them against these nations that attempt to undermine the United States?
Isn't stranger danger Stewart?
Thank you, Senator. I think it's a very important
old 1990s one. Remember they were like stranger danger. I think it's Stewart.
Maximum pressure campaign approach. Secondary sanctions are intended to change behavior. And I think when you add that extensive diplomatic engagement, which has been used very successfully in the past, with the credible threat of U.S. action to those actors who continue to support that illicit behavior, secondary sanctions would be very effective.
Microchips at the conference.
Well,
I
want to stay on national security for a second, and Mr. Pinkerton, I'm going to come to you.
Russia to introduce
China,
visa-free entry for Chinese citizens.
America at every single turn, and one of the ways I feel like they've done that is buying up American agriculture and farmland. I think many of us on this dais, particularly on this side, have been fighting against that with bills and legislation, trying to push back.
Bro.
I know that this committee continues to be engaged, particularly.
Dude, I did not know. I forgot.
And the ability to properly.
So Elizabeth Warren, before Congress, bro, she was Stewart's mom. I didn't know that.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Larkin. I ran over as soon as I heard you found my son. Is he all right?
Oh, yeah, right. The big, handsome one. Yeah, he's fine, Mrs. Larkin.
Oh,
yeah.
I had him with me the whole time. He was holding my hand in the chess king, and somehow he slipped away from me. I've been worried sick. Oh, thank God you found
Elizabeth
him.
Warren.
Well, I'll go get him for you.
Oh, that's okay.
She doesn't stress me out as much.
Stuart, honey, it's Mama. Come on, let's go. Stuart, come here.
I don't want to.
Stuart, come here. Come here. Stuart, come here right now. Stuart, come here.
This is what you guys do when I tell you save 10%.
Where were you?
I don't want to. I was in the back playing cards.
I was playing You let my son play cards?
Yeah, like you let the chat play gambling?
Well, Stuart, you had me worried sick. Stuart, no, stop dawdling. Come on, let's go. Stop dawdling. Come on, we gotta go. Absolutely not. No, come on, let's go. Let's go. What did Mommy tell you about playing cards?
Only dirty people play cards.
That's right. Now, come on. Let's go. Let's
Sounds
go.
just like Elizabeth.
Thank you, officers, for finding him. Come on, Stuart. Let's go.
I need a stranger danger.
Before you go, Larkin, we got a little outstanding matter here.
Outstanding matter?
Yep. Seems like Stuart here acquired a little something on his travels at the mall.
Stuart, why don't you show your mom what we found?
Koya. All right, I wanted it. I wanted the fucking
Akiak tribe, I think Wisconsin, in the Oneida tribe.
So yeah,
and one of the things
danger.
that we're consistently discussing is how to reduce the regulatory burden on tribes. A number of them are actually coming into HUD next week at our Tribal Interagency Advisory Committee, and we'll be meeting with them. And one of their key topics is looking at NEPA, some of our radon regulations, and others that really are overly burdensome and just artificially increase the costs of them executing their Indian housing block grants.
Thank you. I look forward to hearing and working with HUD to do more to make sure that we can prioritize this in Indian country, and we are working on housing and affordable housing there. So thank you. Mr. Myron, let me talk to you. I know you've probably received some of these questions as well. My office and I suspect those of my colleagues are being inundated with calls and letters from small business owners. These small business owners say they cannot keep their doors open with prices rising 50 to 145% for toys, shoes, coffee, auto parts, fruits, and vegetables. These business owners are worried they will have to lay off their employees, or some of them already have, or close their doors and stop serving their neighbors. Yet you told me in February, and I quote, "The economic burden of tariffs imposed by the United States is borne by the country whose exports are tariffed." Do you still believe that?
Thank you, Senator. So
the utilities, I would
theory
wait till we
of
get more
incidence
economic
in
results.
Public finance.
So
and
once we
economics,
find out
which is a
whether
very
stagflation,
well-established
inflation,
old literature
deflation,
that's
or
not very
boom,
controversial,
then
that
I think
generally
utilities will
rests
apply.
upon what economists would call long-run elasticities. And
I don't need an economic theory. I already went through that in finance classes at University of Nadarito. I just need to know your position.
Where the fuck
Do
did you go,
still believe
bitch?
that what your statement was, that the economic burden of tariffs imposed by the United States is borne by the country whose exports are tariffed? Do you still believe that, yes or no?
Thank you,
Sound
Senator. In
James
the long
All
run,
Teacher
I
take over now.
100%
It's gonna be
believe
a
that.
pump.
In the short run, I've always maintained that there could be volatility.
Always.
And does that volatility mean that individual taxpayers are actually, and businesses are paying those tariffs and having to close their doors? Is that what you are saying is a volatility?
So
that
you're
we're
getting
gonna- small
outside
businesses are
rich
gonna have to
guy
close their
pumper
doors and they're just gonna have to
on
suck it up?
sound.
Thank you, Senator. I don't believe that there is any material evidence of that to date. That those.
So let me just say, on CNN.
Yeah, Netflix too, and
we were
Equal Way. Good call.
About
Yeah,
an
that's a
auto
new
parts
high on the
maker in
Equal Way, man.
Detroit
So
just
same
had
thing
to
with the
lay off
SPY.
100
We're almost back,
workers and
25
shut
points
down
now.
a
You'll stop at
warehouse.
like the 80s.
The owner specifically blamed
Oh yeah, Equal Way's going.
tariffs.
But you got a couple
And
of
you
risk
stated
off right
it's
now with like
always
Bitcoin.
convenient
Still
to
very,
blame
very
political
weird, man.
changes when your business fails. Is that how you still believe? It's not, this business owner doesn't know what he's
She
doing?
said, I go to university.
Thank you, Senator. I was not familiar with
Don't
the
you dare
circumstances
question
of that
me.
particular business or those particular 100 workers at that time.
So then why didn't you say that at the interview? Why
Microsoft,
didn't
bro,
you
that
make a statement
Microsoft
if you
one
did?
hit. I had a
It's always
sweet
convenient
spot,
to blame
and
political
it
changes
didn't
when your
go,
business
but it
fails.
still doubled or
It
tripled.
seems like you're disregarding our businesses altogether. Let me ask you this. Do you believe tariffs are taxes?
No.
Thank you, Senator. Economically speaking, any policy can be modeled as a tax. So in that sense,
dumb bitch.
Exactly what I said. Any economic policy can be modeled.
So is that a yes?
Well,
Oh my
what I'm saying
God.
is that the answer
Loves you.
to your question is that any economic policy can be modeled as a tax, whether it's a
Okay, so
subsidy,
that
benefit.
is, your question is a yes. Tariffs are taxes.
No.
My answer is that any economic policy can be modeled as such.
They didn't teach you
Under
that
the
at
last
the university.
administration, we saw a surge in manufacturing jobs and construction with the U.S. economy, adding over 500,000 manufacturing jobs and construction of factories doubling. Unfortunately, under this administration, we have seen the exact opposite. In August, the U.S. manufacturing sector contracted for the 6th consecutive month due to Trump's tariffs and chaotic trade policy. Earlier this year, you said that manufacturing construction will surge as a result of Trump's tariff and tax policies. Were you wrong?
Senator, I do not believe that.
So the
that's
problem
the
is
case.
that, like, genuinely, like, I believe that my audience, most of you are smarter than these people. You're smarter than all these Congress people. I think you know more about the economy and reality than they do. The problem is you guys have your thoughts, and then you look at these guys in these positions of power, and you would think that it would equate to how, qualified they are, but they're not. So yeah, if she's confusing you, it's because she's probably confused, and you probably kind of have a better grasp of it. So yeah, like I said, you guys know they're allowed to bullshit at this. So like it's under the law because like this is like founding father shit. But they're allowed to like lie at these. They cannot be held accountable for what they say during these meetings. So anybody on Congress, even if they blatantly lie, they cannot be held accountable. This is an early law in America to prevent people from getting clapped. Essentially, if like Congress people say something that other people don't like, it would stop them from getting punished down the line. So that's why, like in theory, when you guys are like, wait a minute, this is so American politics, and it sounds so dramatic. They're all being annoying. I mean, this is their opportunity. They can say whatever they want. It doesn't really, the people answering can't lie, right? The people under oath can't lie, but the congressmen asking the questions, they could legitimately say whatever they want. That's why they play the gotcha game, because they could even misrepresent it. And they could be like, so Donald Trump caused the killing of everybody. Do you support that? So even if the premise is completely false, they cannot be held accountable. But the person answering just has to be honest, and they are under oath. Ta-da!
That's great. And we had Secretary
on.
Turner out to Columbus, Ohio, a place called Vista Village that does exactly that. So it's great to see you guys leaning in and looking for innovative solutions. Mr. Kurtz, I know that you claim to be from Georgia, but your heart is in Ohio. Is that correct?
I am quite the Browns fan, yes, Senator.
There you go. Perfect. I just want to make sure. And that's not easy, by the way. Let me just point out, that's not easy to do.
That's leading the question.
No, it's not crooked. It's the founding fathers did it because they knew how crooked people would be once they get power. You guys don't realize that? That's why when I called some of you guys liars about your outrage, I genuinely believe you're liars. And you need to realize this. Because even the founding fathers, hundreds of years ago, they were aware of how shady humans were. They knew. They knew you give humans power, they will abuse it. Why are you guys acting like that doesn't happen? So yeah, Trump can abuse power. You already witnessed 4 years of Democratic abusing of power. And this is what happens. So that's why the founding fathers put that rule in, because they knew that the next president or the people who win would try to put the other people in jail in Congress if they disagreed. The founding fathers knew that. That's why they made this rule where you can't hold Congress people accountable for what they say during these questionnaires. Again, if you're under oath, that's different. But the person's asking the question, this was to prevent them from being, somebody exercising too much power down the line and punishing them for saying something in the future. So yeah, it's all to protect political persecution, as odd as that may sound. And again, this is 100 years old. So this is well before all of us. Still exists today.
For President Trump to combat these narco-terrorists is designating these groups as foreign terrorist organizations. Are you willing to work with our office to see how we can expand that, especially in Colombia, where these terror groups are really wreaking havoc? Mr. Pickleton, we'll start with you.
Senator, thank you for the question. I certainly look forward to working with you and providing any support that I can from the CFIUS perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Yes, if confirmed, I look forward to continuing that discussion with you and your staff.
Perfect. Dr. Myron,
just some
really quick questions for you.
And market, Euro close near the high. Staples are doing good.
Have you ever applied on a mortgage application with the objective of getting a lower interest rate?
Thank you, Senator. I have never done that.
AXP
You're already ahead of the game then. That's good news. Do you think that it's appropriate for the Federal Reserve to weigh in on DEI?
Thank you, Senator. I don't believe that is a responsibility.
About the climate cult? Do you think that's something that the Federal Reserve should be weighing in on?
It is not something the Federal Reserve.
I got a different cult. If you're interested,
do you think that they should have been weighing in on the wiseness of pandemic spending that set records for government spending? Do you think it was wise for the Fed to encourage that?
I don't believe it was wise for the Fed to advocate for one fiscal program over another.
Do you think it was wise to claim that inflation was transitory when it was destroying working Americans for 3 or 4 years?
I don't believe that was wise either.
And do you think it's wise for the Federal Reserve Chairman to advocate for the forgiveness of student debt?
I would not make such a recommendation myself.
So it seems like what we're talking about here, Mr. Chairman, is restoring the independence of the Fed.
Yes.
And to the ranking member,
restoring the independence.
I want to congratulate her for her wisdom in voting against Jay Powell, who is an inspiration to every ineffective, inept leader in America. And hopefully we can get that Federal Reserve stronger again with independent-minded people who actually take politics out of it.
Amen.
Are you finished, sir?
Are you finished?
You got one more time. Thank you so much. Senator Moreno, Senator Warner.
I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to see you all, Mr. Burke. I enjoyed our time. I will say to my friend from Ohio, I want to congratulate the nominees. They are not appointed yet. That's our job to decide whether they move from being nominees to appointments. I do, in light of what my friend from Ohio said, Mr. Brand, I know you're not a lawyer, but in America, should everybody have due process?
Thank you, Senator. I believe...
Don't thank me. I got a lot of questions. So it's a fairly simple answer. Do you believe that Americans should have due process?
I believe that Americans are entitled to it for criminal proceedings.
Okay. And do you believe there is a presumption of innocence?
Again, I'm not
why
a
do you
lawyer,
blow
but
up drug
that's my
boats?
understanding in criminal proceedings.
Okay. So regardless of what charge has been made, I understand there's not even, maybe this morning something was open, but the idea that people, well, first of all, that the director of FHFA is suddenly going on a mortgage witch hunt, and thank goodness I've never had a mortgage, so I wonder what goes around comes around.
Must be nice, buddy.
But I think it's kind of unusual. I'm not going to reblast the whole thing, but that senior government officials aren't even decreed some level of due process and basic presumptions on innocence before any evidence has been provided. Senator Reid wanted me to follow up. He asked about Fed governance proposals. One that you said whether you would not serve in executive branch for 4 years following the end of your Fed term, and to advise President Trump to voluntarily announce or refrain from removing any incumbent.
I'm moving around.
board
Do your
members.
push-ups. Apple, a little flush.
And you said
Trump admin will not pursue plans to require airlines
but in your
to pay
federal
passengers
forms
when
you
flight
proposed,
disruptions
you
are
said
caused.
if we can implement this in a piecemeal fashion, one policy
That's
at a time,
bullish.
if legislatively easier. How
They're
does
getting rid of that plan on the
Is it
airlines.
package deal, or we can take these one at a time?
Thank you, Senator. It is a package deal, but whether that package is one big, beautiful bill or a number of different bills would be, I think, the Senate's prerogative. Sorry, the Senate and the House's prerogative. It wouldn't be.
All right, let me keep
my
moving on.
advice for how to-
The I'm not going to ask you to filibuster on why you think the BLS data has been going downhill or cooked, when frankly it has been the gold standard.
No, it hasn't.
And I am hugely concerned that BLS leaders are being fired because the numbers didn't come out the way the president wanted. How are you going to make things better when we've seen a raft of senior professionals at BLS leave those positions because
I know.
of
I
this
think the
threat of
airlines should
political
be held
interference?
accountable for that.
Thank you for the question.
I grabbed a
Senator.
cheap one,
I do
but they're not
believe that
moving.
The data from the
Not
Bureau
yet.
of Labor Statistics has deteriorated in quality and reliability over the decades.
Is that due to a political bias at the BLS?
Well, it's due to it's the root cause. There's two issues at play. One is declining response rates over time, and two is a inability, refusal to do something to correct for those declining response rates.
So and that's going to be solved by cutting professional staff.
Well, I believe that it needs an overhaul and fresh pair of eyes, and I'm excited for.
So you are you making the accusation that the BLS data is being politically influenced? I just need to know that.
I'm making the statement that BLS leadership did nothing to arrest the deterioration in data quality.
Is it appropriate for the President of the United States to call out and fire BLS leadership simply because he doesn't like the results?
I do not make personnel decisions, nor do I have a legal training in constitutional employment law, or for that matter, any type of law. So I'm just not the right person to.
I don't know. Your answer doesn't give me a lot of confidence. I know I'm not going to relitigate all of the Fed independence issues, but if you're not willing to call out a frontal attack on the BLS, and if you're not willing, you say that the rates have the information has deteriorated, and not willing to acknowledge that loss of the professional staff is not going to improve that situation, it really makes me concerned. Last question is, do you think that the Fed, by politicized and simply responding to lowering interest rates, will be able to overcome any resistance from the bond market if the bond market says, oh my gosh, we've lost the independence of the Fed?
All right, I need to go do the twist.
Seconds?
Netflix, though.
I don't anticipate the bond market saying that, so I don't anticipate.
U.S. lawmakers' right to CVS over use of patient
If the bond market
information.
were to respond that way, what action would you take?
It hasn't reacted
it's
yet.
Impossible to
Lawmakers
respond
sent
a
letter to
hypothetical like that
CVS.
without knowing lots more context about what was going on in financial markets and supply and demand in aggregate supply and demand in the economy as a whole. That's the type of sort of hypothetical about which it's impossible to speculate without a much more fulsomely specified set of conditions.
I give you credit for your ability to filibuster.
Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Haggerty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's talk about the Fed's independence. That's been a big issue here today. There's been a lot of talk about it, and I find it particularly rich that the Federal Reserve's independence is suddenly a big issue from a party that's long sought to systematically inject its ideology into the work of the central bank. Let me get into some specifics here to make my point. President Biden once called for adding racial equity to the Fed's dual mandate. He appointed a Fed governor who sought to redirect capital from fossil fuels to green energy by using the Fed's oversight function to influence bank lending decisions. Biden even endorsed Democrats' efforts to make the Fed conduct monetary policy based on racial outcomes. Furthermore, the Fed itself has undermined its own credibility by caving to progressive pressures. The Fed joined the network of central banks and supervisors for greening the financial system. This is a group that promotes leftist climate ideology. Partisanship at the Federal Reserve Board and regional reserve banks has come at the expense of effective supervisory practices. Need look no further than the failures of the San Francisco Fed and their failure to supervise Silicon Valley Bank.
Oh, you almost got me.
As Mr. Myrons testified, quote, independence of monetary policy is a critical element
I thought
for
I
its
saw
success.
something. I didn't.
This is exactly
I got really excited. I ran
the
over.
right perspective, and it's critical to the leadership that we need to steer the Fed away from politics and back toward data-driven monetary policy. So, Mr. Myron, I'd like to start with you. At the CEA, you analyzed the impact of tariffs on inflation. And through that analysis, I think you determined that the tariffs that were being considered and imposed by President Trump would not have a substantial impact on inflation. That analysis seems to have turned out to be correct. I'd like to ask you how your analysis on inflation and tariffs will inform your perspective on monetary policy should you be confirmed.
Thank you, Senator. I do believe that there's no evidence that tariffs have had any inflationary effect in the sense of moving the aggregate price level. The Council of Economic Advisors just put out an update to a previous study where we looked at the import components of every single good, and we identified that imported goods have actually been getting cheaper relative to domestically produced goods, which is the opposite of what you'd expect to see if tariffs were inflationary. Moreover, there's no sense in which U.S. goods inflation has diverged from goods inflation internationally, which again is something you would expect to see if tariffs were inflationary because the U.S. is implementing significant tariffs, but other countries are not. Moving forward, I expect my view of inflation to be informed by the broad suite of economic policies and not just monetary policy. And indeed, I think this is a subject, which has received insufficient attention in the past. So, for example, if you consider border policies I was discussing before, moving millions of new residents into a relatively fixed supply of housing will be extremely inflationary because it pushes rents up. CE has estimated that the open border policies of the last several years resulted in a 6.5 percentage point increase in rents, which explains about 30% of the increase. 30% of the increase since 22, right? So that's hugely inflationary. So it is my view that the change to border policies is actually quite deflationary in its effects, and we're working on quantifying that.
Well, I think there are a number of other deflationary activities underway. You think about the development of AI, the implications of activity there. You think about the regulatory undertakings of this administration that are going to cut overhead costs and compliance costs dramatically and streamline government efficiency in a way that I think will again be deflationary. Our efforts to get back to energy dominance, which has lowered the cost of energy, all again feeding into a much more deflationary cycle than an inflationary one. So I hope that the Fed gets to the right point and back to the original point. We've got to take politics out of this. And I applaud the president for nominating you. You've been very clear that you want to get out of the political arena. You want the Fed to get out of the political arena that's been operating in, whether it be racial equity, green projects, or timing of interest rate adjustments to politics. I very much appreciate
Myrtle
that.
Beach.
Mr. Burke, I'd like to turn
I think it was Airbnb.
Quickly.
That's what kind of got fucked up there.
You're going to
go
to
a long
work
time ago.
for,
That was like a
if
year
you're
ago
confirmed, you're going to work
when it
with
started.
one of my friends, John Hurley. The undersecretary is extraordinarily competent, and he needs a great team. I'd like for you to comment, if you would. I chair the National
I don't know. We
Security,
didn't hear anything on the
Trade,
tariffs.
and International Finance Subcommittee of the Banking Committee. Senator Warner, who was here just a minute ago, is the ranking member. I'd like your thoughts now and later on how you could best work with our subcommittee as you undertake your role in terrorism finance.
Thank you very much, Senator, for that question. And of course, if confirmed, I look forward to working with Undersecretary Hurley and you and your staff in the committee on those issues. I do think it's very important as we look at implementing regulatory frameworks and identifying risks that are posed to the financial system from, whether it's terrorists or criminals, and particularly in the use of new products, that we identify what those risks are, we understand how that works in the financial system, and then we can apply the appropriate mitigants to address that risk going forward. So again, if confirmed, I look forward to working with you more on that.
Well, Mr. Mitchell sitting behind you knows how to contact our office, and if you're confirmed, I expect to see you soon thereafter. Thanks very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Gallego.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Myron, who's Arthur Burns?
Thank you, Senator. I believe Arthur Burns was a chairman of the Federal Reserve in the 1970s.
1970. Under which president?
Under a variety of presidents in that decade.
Specifically, do you remember what Arthur Burns was doing before he joined the Fed Reserve, as chairman of Federal Reserve?
Thank you, Senator. I believe that Arthur Burns, like a number of others, like Janet Yellen, Ben Bernanke, Alan Greenspan, were all chairman and chairwoman of the Council of Economic Advisors prior to becoming chairman and chairwoman of the Federal Reserve.
Actually, he went from CEA under Eisenhower and then became counselor to Richard Nixon, then became Fed Reserve chairman. And likely the reason they did that is to give some level of, at least, level of separation. At least it was on the surface. What happened during Arthur Burns' tenure while he was serving in his capacity as chairman and with Richard Nixon at the helm?
Thank you, Senator. Can you narrow the question a little bit, please?
Sure. What happened to the economy and to the independence of the Federal Reserve under Richard Nixon while Mr. Burns was the chairman of the Federal Reserve?
So again, I think that's a bit of an open-ended question. I prefer to, if you could narrow it a bit, because a lot of things happened in that period.
Did stagflation happen in that period?
It was an outcome during that period, yes.
Was there public scrutiny about the fact that the president was trying to pressure the Federal Reserve to drop interest rates, even though all economic indicators said that was a bad idea?
There was news stories about fractious relationships between the Federal Reserve and President Nixon, I believe.
Yep. And would you say that what occurred in terms of the pressuring of the Federal Reserve by President Nixon to drop interest rates probably caused directly stagflation?
No, I wouldn't say that, Senator. I believe that the inflation of the 1970s was caused primarily by two errors of the Federal Reserve, plus unfortunate supply shocks from energy markets and geopolitics in the Middle East. But the errors the Federal Reserve made in that period was a conflation of nominal and real interest rates. And by failing to raise nominal interest rates by more than inflation went up, they actually kept real interest rates relatively steady.
So you're telling me that no matter what many, reclaim my time here, a lot of us, whether it was our basic understanding of economics, historically speaking, what everyone understands was direct pressure on the Federal Reserve to actually drop interest rates that were not matching the economic situation, had zero contribution to stagflation that really plagued America for almost 10 years.
No, I don't believe there's the consensus that you portrayed. I don't believe that consensus exists. Indeed, there were.
I get back. Take back my time. You understand why we're concerned? Because we've seen this playbook, right? Let me read something to you. The president looked wild, talked like a desperate man, fulminated with hatred against the press, took some of us to task, apparently meaning me, chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, and Paul McCracken, or both, for not putting a gay and optimistic face on every piece of economic news, however discouraging. Propounded the theory that confidence can best be generated by appearing confident and coloring, if need be, the news. That sounds a lot like Donald Trump. That was actually Richard Nixon complaining to the Fed chairman, Arthur Burns.
I agree with
him. Get him to bring down interest rates. And of course, he did eventually.
I agree with him.
The country
you know why? Because I told you Biden was Nixon 4 years ago, and I read you all of the Nixon stuff. You remember? when they unleashed the money supply. I'm disappointed Moran didn't talk about money supply either. And there's the peach, bro.
You're gonna go into a temporary position. Hold your other position.
I thought someone said
White
peach
House.
earlier, and I was
we
strong.
don't feel
There
like
it
the sword
is.
of Damocles is going to be hanging over your head if you don't lower it.
We needed that, bro.
Right? And so I think it's a very reasonable
God
request.
bless America.
That should you
God bless Peach
be nominated,
Nation.
that you resign.
We did it, y'all.
As CA director. And should you want to come back later, then you go back to the nomination process. But the fact that this president, who we know is willing to hold government officials hostage, we just saw what happened with the BLS director,
is
going to be
go.
able to hold that over your
That's
head.
Peach,
and we
baby.
are going to question whether or not you're going to be making the right decisions for this country, not for your personal career. I think that is something that is extremely dangerous to the bond market, it's dangerous to our economy, and could really lead us into a direction that could make some permanent damage to the reputation of the Federal Reserve.
DKS, I think they're at the conference too.
Senator Lummis.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
love it.
Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Banks.
You guys remember when I would read you the Nixon stuff? That's funny. I didn't think they would bring it up 5 years later. So yeah, that's why I'm like, this is exactly what I was just telling you earlier. I'm like, bro, they're telling you stuff at the wrong time, and then they're acting like, I don't know why they couldn't read Nixon 4 years ago. You couldn't look, but that's weird. I'm telling you, everybody in the government, they all really don't like talking about money supply, because even Moran kind of dodged that there too. I was listening. I'm stretching, but I hope you did your push-ups, bro.
Pointed it
I
out
hope
to
you
be a
did your
Chinese-owned
push-ups.
business. The Biden administration ordered divestment, which happened near the end of his term. How can we assure that, and what steps could you take at CFIUS to make sure that we do know when a Chinese-owned business is locating near a critical, in this case, land-based nuclear missile site?
Senator, thank you very much for that question. And I absolutely share your concern. That example is incredibly concerning. And it goes back to something that I referenced before, the idea of focusing on companies that were not notified of, where there would be, in this instance, the term is a covered transaction. We can't protect against what we don't know about.
Yeah.
So I would look forward, if confirmed, to working through all of the authorities within CFIUS as it currently stands, working with the various communities who would be able to provide intelligence, information, as well as law enforcement to work on these issues. And if given the opportunity, once again, would love to work with you on this.
Thanks, Mr. Pilkerton. Dr. Mirren, I think we all want to see independence at the Fed when it comes to monetary policy. But there's more than one function at the Fed. There's monetary policy and there's bank supervision. Now, in the case of bank supervision, the bank supervision and payment regulations are clearly regulatory functions. So they're not subject to that kind of independence. They are subject to the direction of the president. Now, what I've seen in the last 4 years is
they're talking about
the Federal
Chinese
Reserve
people
Board and
buying
the Reserve banks
property next to
hiding
military
behind
bases and water.
the monetary policy independence with respect to bank supervision and payments. There's no basis in the law for bank supervision to be completely independent, just the way it is for monetary policy. Do you agree with that those are different functions?
Thank you, Senator. Yes, I do agree that they are different functions.
Now, thanks, because as I have seen it, Choke Point 2.0, which is the Federal Reserve's function as bank supervisor, debanking people, which is one of the key reasons
Micron's going
that
up.
people are getting into
And
digital
then NVO,
assets.
watch Eli Lilly.
Like
That's
the
actually
president's
moving.
own children. When you get debanked and you have 20,000 employees that you need to make payroll for, and they're told, we're closing all your bank accounts, where are they going to go? They're going to go to digital assets because you don't have to trust a bank and you don't have to trust the government. Well, our own Fed is driving people into digital assets because finally there's something out there you don't have to trust in order to keep your wealth. Do you think the Federal Reserve Board and reserve banks have been independent from politics in the last several years?
Thank you, Senator. I don't believe that it was a set of nonpartisan, non-political, objective technocrats that decided that the Federal Reserve should be the institution that fights climate change. I don't believe that Operation Choke Point was a non-political act either. And so if confirmed to the Federal Reserve, I intend to fully respect independence with respect to monetary policy. As you say, on regulatory work, there's a lot of work to be done, and I applaud the work this committee has done on Operation Choke Point and other matters that you mentioned.
Can you help us, as a member of the Reserve, to set up a system that clearly demarks the independence on monetary policy, but recognizes that the president, through his regulatory supervision and oversight of the executive branch, does have a role in bank supervision?
Thank you, Senator. If confirmed, it is absolutely an issue that I would greatly welcome working with you and your team on.
Thank you. I yield back.
Senator Warnock.
How did
Thank
they
you,
know?
Chair. On
know.
Monday, August 25th, President Trump escalated his continuing assault on the independence.
Yeah, you got
of the Federal
banned
Reserve
earlier,
by
but if you
attempting
can't
to
figure out
illegally
why,
fire
I'm not going
Fed
out of my way
Governor
anymore,
Lisa Cook.
Chad.
Lisa Cook
So,
is a first-rate
that's all.
economist and a Georgian that we're all very proud of. No president has ever attempted to fire a Fed governor before. This stems from unsubstantiated allegations that Governor Cook has denied. Everyone understands what's happening here. The president's tariffs are damaging the economy. We can all see that. The economy is struggling as he's created a 10% tax on virtually everything, making Americans poorer and poorer, all to give a tax cut to billionaires. And now he's insisting that the Fed cut interest rates to try and mask the fact that his economic policies are failing miserably. Families deserve a Fed that will work for them, not for the president. And Lisa Cook is simply being scapegoated for Trump's failed economic policies. Dr. Myron, the Fed's job is to maximize employment and keep prices stable. That's it. Not to soothe the president's ego, not to inflate his poll numbers, not to carry out his political agenda. A strong central bank serves families, investors, and the entire world by just relying on economic data and focusing on employment and prices. There's a reason why our economy, even when it struggles, is the envy of the world. There's a reason why people invest in America. And I think that the independence of the Fed has a lot to do with that. You seem to believe the opposite. For example, in this Manhattan Institute paper published last year that I would like to enter into the record, you propose reforming the Federal Reserve by explicitly tying Fed board membership to the result of elections, giving the president control over the Fed and allowing the president to have complete authority to fire Fed governors. Congress would need to implement these reforms. Is that correct?
Thank you, Senator. That is not correct. I did not recommend giving the president control over the Fed because what I recommended doing was a package of checks and balances. And one of the other checks and balances included in that package was strengthening the system of regional reserve banks and ensuring that they voted every meeting, which would then give them a majority over the Board of Governors.
I've read your paper and I disagree with your characterization of the argument. Do you think our economy would be better off with President Trump setting interest rates unilaterally?
Thank you, Senator. I don't believe that's a situation which is currently happening.
But my question is, do you think our economy would be better off if he were able to set interest rates unilaterally, yes or no?
I think the president has had a series of excellent calls on monetary policy over the recent years. However, I do think that independence of the central bank from political cycle is key to its long-term success in delivering superior economic outcomes.
So if a Fed governor disagrees with the president over interest rates, should the president be able to fire them based solely on that policy disagreement?
I'm afraid that I have no legal training, particularly not in constitutional employment law, so that question is not one that I am capable of answering.
Do you think the president should be able to fire someone based solely on a policy disagreement? You've been nominated to serve on the Fed.
Again, I have no means with which to evaluate that claim, lacking any form.
Do you think it's appropriate for the president to threaten to fire them as he's threatened to fire Chair Powell?
Again, it's not my prerogative to have views on such a question.
Well, I think you have opined on such questions. Here's the problem with your answer. Trust in institutions takes years, it takes decades to build. And this political assault on the Fed's independence threatens market stability, reducing investment in our country, costing jobs, and jeopardizing the retirement accounts of millions of Americans. Dr. Myron, in your view, what happens when businesses and consumers and investors lose faith in the Fed's ability to act independently from politics, whether it's from the left or the right?
Thank you, Senator. Should financial markets and households and firms come to view that the Fed is not independent, it presumably will have a material effect on bond yields and inflation expectations that would be adverse for the outcome of adverse for economic outcomes.
I think that there's a reason, again, that America's economy is the envy of the world. I think the independence of the Fed is an important part of that. And based on the statements that I have seen so far, I'm convinced that you're not going to exercise that kind of independence. I think you're conflicted in this role, that you would be a mouthpiece and a proxy vote on the Fed board for President Trump if you were confirmed. And I find that deeply alarming and concerning as I think about the retirement accounts of people of Georgia, as well as the strength of our overall economy. Thank you so very much.
I yield myself 5 minutes. Mr. Burke, Americans are dying at record rates from fentanyl. Over 74,000 overdose deaths in 2022 alone. Much of this fentanyl is trafficked into the United States through cartels with ties to Chinese precursor companies. President Trump rightfully designated these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations and signed the Halt Fentanyl Act to fight against it. How are you going to enforce tougher sanctions on the financial networks that enable this flow of poison into our communities?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. And I very much share your concern about the risk posed by that activity. I'm encouraged by the actions that have been taken already by this administration to target cartels with additional authorities. And indeed, as you're aware, FinCEN has implemented measures against banks in Mexico that continue to support some of those the activities as well. I think going forward, and if I'm confirmed, I look forward to getting more information about the details. A lot of that's intelligence driven, as it should be, to understand where there are networks and nodes and typologies to move money through the system that can be vulnerable to disruption with the right tools, and developing those tools using all the range of authorities available at Treasury, and implementing that robustly, including through diplomatic engagement with other countries where we need a cooperation on pursuing that. So if confirmed, I look forward to working on that.
I look forward to that too. Thank you. Mr. Hobbs, each year HUD distributes tens of billions of dollars of housing assistance to families in poverty through programs like the Housing Choice Voucher Program in Section 8. Unfortunately, these programs punish people for working and for getting married. How will you specifically reduce these harmful penalties that discourage marriage and career advancement as they jeopardize housing support?
Thank you, Senator, for the question, and that's an issue I hold very deeply. Unfortunately, it is currently statute that we take about 30% of a low-income person's income. Whether they get married, we'll take their spouse's income, or they get a job increase, we'll take 30 cents on the dollar. And as you said, it's incredibly disincentive to work and marriage. But one thing we are doing is we're exploring every opportunity and every regulatory and statutory flexibility we can to empower local public housing authorities to promote self-sufficiency. We're looking at things such as time limits. We're looking at things such as work requirements, the family self-sufficiency program, and others can be utilized towards this end. But I would love to be able to work with this body on those statutory obstacles.
Great. I look forward to working with you on that too when you're confirmed. Mr. Kurtz, last month, Senator Warner and I introduced the RESIDE Act, a bipartisan piece of legislation that was passed through this committee as part of Chairman Scott's Road to Housing package. It's a common sense proposal that directs existing funds through the Home Improvement Partnership Program to renovate blighted industrial buildings into homes for working families. When I was home for the August recess, I met with mayors, Republican and Democrat, of small and big cities all through the state of Indiana, and they very much welcome this type of solution to the housing crisis.
My guy,
in their
respectfully, I think you're the problem.
But how else can, in your new role,
I don't think
when
we
you're
can help you
confirmed,
anymore,
can
man.
you innovate proposals like this to help tackle our
Now you're banned.
dire housing supply crisis?
So you won't get confused next time.
Well, Senator, thank you
I
for
sent
the
you that
question.
shit in
and
March.
I do commend this committee
It's been
for
6 months.
the actions that they've taken specifically in that Road to Housing Act, and it's part of what is so exciting
no one can help
about
you.
working
No
in this
one's in your
space is that I
area.
think we all
You had a lot of
agree
time,
on
bro.
what the goals are here, which is to, again, increase the amount of affordable housing and to decrease the amount of homeless Americans that we have. What you touched on is that, again, that we need to innovate in this space. So renovating old buildings, like you just mentioned, is
that's
a huge
another one.
opportunity. They're looking at the HUD housing code for manufactured homes.
Another
as
retail. I remember saying that in the
fact,
morning.
This Monday,
Said
the
watch
Department of
Nike,
Housing
but
and Urban
all the other
Development
ones
will be
went.
having a demonstration on the National Mall of all the new type of housing availabilities we have there. Looking at making it easier for prefabricated homes to go and be put in place in our cities. And really going back to those mayors and those local communities that you just mentioned and hearing from them what their community is yearning for and what will work for them there is a way to continue to move that ball forward.
Thank you. Look forward to working on those issues with you as well. Thank you to all of you. I support your confirmation to the important roles that you play. With that, I yield to Senator Blunt Rochester.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the nominees. Dr. Myron, in your testimony, you spoke about the independence of the Federal Open Market Committee. You also said that the independence of monetary policy is critical. So I'd like to begin with a yes or no question as well. Do you believe the Federal Reserve should remain an independent entity? Yes or no?
Thank you, Senator. As I said in my opening statement, the independence of the Federal Reserve is critical to delivering superior long-run outcomes for the economy.
So that's a yes.
Yes.
And I'm really glad to hear this, especially since you've said on the record, quote, "I've always been clear that the independence of the Fed is of paramount importance." During this hearing, senators on both sides of the aisle have spoken to the independence and independence from political influence of the Fed. And literally almost every person, almost everyone, Democrats and Republicans, have spoken to that. So this shouldn't be a controversial opinion. Yet in the past 8 months, this administration has tried time and time again to exert more influence over the Federal Reserve, an independent agency. Here are a few headlines from news articles that I'll be submitting for the record. From Forbes, Trump might greenlight major lawsuit against Fed Chair Jerome Powell. NPR, Trump floats firing the Federal Reserve Chair as White House criticism boils. From the Wall Street Journal, uncharted waters, Trump's attempt to take charge of the Fed. From CBS News, Trump's unprecedented firing of Fed Governor Lisa Cook raises untested questions. Mr. Chair, I ask unanimous consent to submit these articles for the record. Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent. The president has tried and failed to fire Chairman Powell. So now he's on to his latest target, Governor Lisa Cook. She is currently confronting what appears to be an intentional smear campaign and attempted firing. She has and has continued to serve our country admirably. Ranking Member Warren referenced Nixon, but to my knowledge, in the 111-year history of the Fed, no president has attempted to influence the Fed so blatantly and egregiously as our current president. Dr. Cook is a Truman Scholar, a Marshall Scholar, graduate of Spelman College, went on to Oxford. Her body of work is a direct rebuke of the failed promises of trickle-down economics. And it's not lost on me that she is the only and first ever Black woman to serve on the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. First Chairman Powell, now Governor Cook. Who's next? Many of my colleagues have spoken to Dr. Myron's potential conflict of still being employed by the White House and potentially serving on the Fed board. Even in the questioning about whether or not, what are some of the qualifications, what are the powers that the president has, one of the things that you said, Mr. Myron, is I have no legal training on the issue around removal of Fed governors. But that didn't prevent you from writing a 25-page document that talked about that exact topic. The bottom line, the strength of our economy relies on an independent Federal Reserve. And Americans rely on a strong economy to afford the basic goods and services needed to survive and thrive. I hope that I can count on my colleagues to voice all of the collective support for a Federal Reserve Board to stay strong and do that amongst or against any of the president's attacks on this independent operation. I, again, am very concerned for where we're going as a country when there aren't those checks and balances. And again, my colleagues across the aisle all spoke pretty much unanimously to the independence of this agency. And so I look forward to seeing
cry? It's not
us put our proverbial money
you guys already fucked
where
it
our
up.
mouth is. Thank you, and I yield back.
That's what we're saying.
Senator Van Hollen.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. And I want to start by associating myself with the comments of my colleague, Senator Blunt Rochester, with respect to all her comments, especially with respect to Lisa Cook and what's happening there. Dr. Myron, I've been following closely these proceedings and your responses. I just want to confirm that you would like to keep open the option of returning to the Council of Economic Advisors after your 4-month stint, should you be confirmed. Is that right?
Thank you, Senator. As I said before, the advice that I received from counsel was to...
I'm just asking about your personal ambitions and interests. Do you want to keep open that option?
Well, 4.5 months from now is on the one hand a short time, but it's also a very long time, and I have no idea what the world is going to look like.
But the fact that, you could resign, could you not?
I could, and as I said earlier, if I were nominated to a term that's longer than 4.5 months and confirmed to that term, I would resign.
Right. So I just don't know why you have such a hard time responding to my question, which is
you know who else could resign?
The option of returning should your term be
Lisa
4
Cook.
months. That's what you want to do, right?
I'm following the advice of counsel, and
did the counsel advise you that you could resign if you wanted to?
Yes, counsel did advise that I could if I wanted to.
Of course you could. And so you want to keep open the option of returning to the Council of Economic Advisors. So my question here is pretty simple. It would be up to President Trump as to whether or not you were able to return to the Council of Economic Advisors, right?
Well, as the Council of Economic Advisors is a part of the president's administration, the president would be able to decide who staffs that agency.
Exactly, right? He could decide not to bring you back, right? This is a pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
question.
The president can decide who staffs that agency.
Yeah. And so do you think that President Trump would want to have you back at the Council of Economic Advisors if you defied his wishes in your votes and actions on the Federal Reserve, should you be confirmed?
I do not know, the inside of anyone else's mind. What I can tell you is that if I am confirmed to the Federal Reserve, I will act independently based on my own independent analysis of the economy and economic policy.
Well, let me help you out, and I think a couple of your boss's tweets would be reflective of his state of mind. This is a tweet from the 1st of this month. Quote, Jerome, too late Powell, a stubborn moron, must substantially lower interest rates. Now, if he continues to refuse, the board should assume control and do what everybody knows has to be done. So are you seriously telling me that if you were to vote and exercise judgment that was not consistent with what the President of the United States wants, that the President would not have you back at the Council of Economic Advisors, the job that you want to hold open for yourself?
Thank you, Senator. I actually interpret that statement as an exhortation to independent action by encouraging the members of the Federal Open Market Committee to vote their own views as opposed to taking direction from a chairman of the Federal Reserve. So I interpret those words as rather the opposite.
Okay, MDT, that was going up all day. I think they're at a conference.
You've not seen the tweets where
really
the president has threatened to try to fire
1%.
Have you not seen those?
30 cents.
I've
actually
seen
0.5%
posts on Truth Social.
Okay. Well, I mean, he has done that repeatedly. And so for you to suggest that the president would somehow welcome you back with open arms at the Council of Economic Advisors, should you vote in a way that is opposed by the President of the United States, is just not credible in any way, given the president's repeated actions. Let me ask you about the situation over at the Bureau of Labor.
Oh, is it a study?
Here's another tweet. Actually, the same day as the earlier one.
I'm down. They had it cheap.
Today's job numbers were rigged in order to make Republicans and me look bad. I have a very simple question, Dr. Myron. Do you think that the statistics were rigged in order to make the president look bad?
I think the statistics were allowed to deteriorate in quality steadily over the long.
That's a very different issue. We may agree or disagree on that, but that's very different than suggesting that they were intentionally rigged. Are you seriously suggesting, as the president did, that the numbers were rigged? Just a yes or no.
I believe that the numbers were allowed to deteriorate without taking corrective action.
That's non-responsive.
He's good at
it's non-responsive.
Time expired. Senator Also Brooks.
Yeah, I thought they were at the conference.
Thank you,
either way.
And good
There's only one cheapie. It's not moving.
Normally, for a nominations hearing, we use our 5 minutes to ask questions of the witnesses, and unfortunately, these are not normal times. I've been watching hearings from another part of the Senate today, and I believe that to make a long story short, this administration is making Americans both sicker and poorer. And so today, the nomination of Dr. Myron
I
to be a member
honestly
of the
think
Federal
you get
Reserve
sick
Board
and
of
poor
Governors
if you
is
listen
an
to
attempt
the media.
to rewrite the tragic story
My
that
guy.
the Trump economy
Come,
is
follow
telling
the
the
way,
American
brothers.
people.
Follow the way.
This administration wants to
we
find
can all
someone
get
else
healthy.
to blame
I got
for the
all-time
chaos
highs
that we're
every
all
fucking week,
experiencing,
dog.
and that's why they
You
are
know what I'm
illegally
saying?
attempting to
Do you know how
fire
many
a current
youthful
member of the
young men
Federal
and women
Reserve.
we have brought into
That's
home
why they
ownership in
fired
the last
leader
6 months,
responsible for
9
providing
months,
objective
and it's all by not
economic
playing
data
around.
to the American public because they did not like the facts.
So if you've been
Dr.
rocking with
Myron, who's
lady
before us
and
today,
it's
is one of the
leaving you
chief
sick and
architects
poor,
of the Trump
my brother,
economy.
come talk
So
to
let's
me
talk
in like
about
30
that
minutes.
economy.
I got this. That's
The
it. Come
American
talk to
people
me.
remember just 8
What's
months
it going to
ago when
cost
this
you? All-time high? I'll
administration
get
took
you
over.
all-time highs,
This
brother.
president promised
every year
to end
What did I
inflation
say?
on day one. He promised
My brother, live in
energy
peace,
and electricity
live in joy,
prices
live
would
in
be
hope.
slashed.
You will
he
be
insisted
healthy?
that housing prices
He
would
said
decrease,
sicker
and
and
he
poor?
said that he would make America affordable
Oh,
again.
man. I know
8 months
thousands
later,
of people doing
what we
they're
know
healthier
is
than
that
ever.
President Trump has no wins
And we could
to
do it for
celebrate.
everybody. And there's
His
people who
promises
disagreed
have
with me at the
proven
beginning of the year.
fraudulent. Prices have not
And
gone
then they
down.
agreed
In
with
fact,
me, and
they've
guess what?
gone up.
They were
The Trump tariffs, of
sick
which
and
Dr.
poor. Now they're
Myron
not.
is a strong proponent,
Y'all don't feel me, bro.
are harming Maryland families
So
and
yeah,
businesses.
she's lying to you.
Prices of groceries and other goods continue to rise, and middle and working class Americans are worried. This week, a new poll found that a record
Drop
low
the
number
worry.
of
Drop the
Americans now
fear.
believe that their hard work will
Live in
improve
your
their
destiny.
standard of living.
Arise to the
Dr. Myron
situation.
knows
We'll
the
meet
Trump
you there, brother.
economy is in fact
The
failing.
world has so much
and that's
for
why
you.
he's
You know that?
publicly celebrated Trump's firing.
It don't matter
of
who
the
I did
leader
it
of the
under
Bureau of
Biden. I did
Labor
it under
Statistics,
Trump.
because you know
Obama,
what? He did
Bush,
not like the facts.
you name it, brother.
It's
Listen,
pretty
this-
obvious.
It's
To
pretty
me and
obvious.
to
They
everyone
speak in
else paying
fear. They speak
attention,
in lack of
Trump's
hope. I
economy
speak the
is
opposite,
an
sir.
unmitigated disaster.
You know, the other ones, they weren't.
It's
They
harder
didn't
than
sound
ever.
this
I just met
hopeless. That's
with
why I
a
got to
number
step
of young
in.
people who
If
came
you
to
couldn't
me.
tell. What is this
And
lady?
it's
She
harder
said
than ever
sicker
for a
and
young
poor?
American to buy a home, and they know it.
Oh, they
and the
do?
American
Because you're
dream is
telling
slipping
them.
further
I
out of
remind
reach
them
for
every day
millions
it
of
is
people.
difficult, but we got a
America's
way.
promise has
You got
always
access to
rested on
capital
the
like
idea
never
that its
before.
citizens
It's
can have a
harder than
fair
ever,
shot
but it's also
at the
easier
American
than ever.
dream.
Let's get it.
President Trump's economy is destroying
this.
that foundation. This is an ugly story.
No, your mind will destroy
the American
that foundation.
People are struggling
Fear
as a
destroys
result,
foundations.
and this administration is
President
searching
can't do
for
shit.
a scapegoat.
He's just going to speed it up or slow it
That's
down.
why the president is now imposing political influence on the Federal Reserve. How disgusting that is.
How disgusting
which is
you
bound
are.
To hurt Maryland.
Listen to what you have said, not rooted in truth.
The president's unprecedented illegal firing of Dr. Lisa Cook won't improve our economic outlook, and it will continue the chaos and reduce confidence from American families and businesses. This president and the administration he's assembled has made it harder for Americans to build wealth and to get
home because the long
It is a
term.
devastating legacy that seems only to worsen by
go.
the day. So Dr. Myron's nomination would only take us further down this disastrous
You guys don't see why I kick
path
you out? Seriously, why I kick you out if you sound like this liberal talking shit is nonsense. And everybody who say, you know what, Josh, I don't believe it. They go and buy a house with me. That's it. They go and get a lawn term with me. That's it. Do you see it? Oh, disgusting, bro.
It's vulnerable, and it will not restore confidence that the Federal Reserve is safeguarding the American economy. For these reasons, I cannot support Dr. Myron's nomination, and I cannot sit back while the president injects chaos into the economy to settle political grievances. Too many Marylanders and too many Americans are suffering because of the sheer economic ignorance of this president and the cowardice of nominees who know better but refuse to speak up. So thank you so much, and I yield back.
Refuse to speak up.
That concludes the question and answer
I told
portion
everybody
of
everything
today's hearing.
5 years
Prior to
in
adjourning,
advance
I have
and
some
got
final
punished.
housekeeping announcements. Before I do that, though, I'd like to thank our
Baby
nominees
girl.
for
And I'm
testifying
still
before the
smiling.
committee today, and thank you for your
Hope
willingness
for
to
the
serve
young
our country.
guys. You're all
For
going to buy a
senators,
house.
all follow-on
You
questions
can all be
for the
healthy
record must
today.
be submitted by 12
You
p.m.
can all
Friday,
don't listen
September
to these
5th.
people.
And for our
Oh my goodness! Thank God that's finished. I'm glad that was at the end. They saved the worst for last. That was the most hopeless one out of all of them. I don't know if you guys picked up on that. That's all. I gave my comments while we were listening. I thought it would be more economical, to be honest. That's why I played it. Because I don't know if you guys remember back in the beginning of the year, you know, Moran, his comments would actually move the market. So not really any of them hit. A couple hit the wire, but they weren't market moving. And then, yeah, towards the end there, she just started. They started really lying to y'all, bro. Nah, and that's what I'm saying, bro. Just like, and I saw it in the beginning of the year. There's a reason why I've been so straightforward, you guys. And I'm glad, because some people at the beginning of the year, after the little tariff thing, they saw what I was saying, and they woke up. They really, like, for real, your president in politics, it plays some role. That's just reality. It really does, right? But it's not everything, dude. Come on, I've been saying that to you for a really long time. That's why I got so disappointed in some people towards it. So, and again, people have claimed I'm very political, but if that was the case, I would sound a lot more like Trump, or I would be a lot more hopeless. So, like I'm saying, we're just taking everything. We're going to take who wants it. That's it. Let's get it, man. And you have a shot. You can be healthy right now. Fuck the environment right now. You have a great environment. Don't listen to anybody. I'm telling you. And even if it was a bad environment, that's a perfect environment. Oh, my goodness. So I'm just saying, I don't know if you hear it, but my mindset is a little different. And I hope yours are too. But yeah, man, you're all going to get a home. And it's all possible. You could be healthy. You could be happy. There is a lot of good things right now. But I'll tell you right now, believing that there's not, and not putting yourself in the position to get those things, I'm telling you, fear hates momentum. So you need to get you some momentum right now. And if you're not getting momentum, of course you're going to feel a certain way. Of course, their lies will look real, and it will look like it's a reality, but it's not. And that's why just because there's smoke, there is not fire, my friends. I know they like to say that, but I think a lot of people use the appearance. I think a fire went out and there's still residual smoke, and people want you to believe there's a raging fire, but no, I just think the fire's gone, and you shouldn't believe that you're gonna get burned. I think you should move wise and move strong and go how you need to, in the sense of movement. Just be active, be doing something, and again, active in thought, active in mind, and that mindset. That was terrible to hear. It disturbed me. That's why I said I must say something. That's my goodness, bro. My goodness. Nadella, Cook, and Zuckerberg and Altman at the White House. That must be so awkward. With like Sam and then Zuckerberg. I bet you Zuckerberg gonna try to hire Sam. Dude, and then I feel bad. You know who I feel bad for all of this? Elon. Elon talking to his fucking AI girlfriend about not getting invited. They did this on the Biden and now they do it to me. How come they do this to me? Everybody, every president, leave me out of it. He's on the list. Oh, man. It's crazy, bro. Biden Elon'd him. Trump Elon'd him. Trump pulled the Biden. Sad. But Elon, I don't know, man. Oh, I put Bank of America. But other than that, no real headline. The data, you guys remember, that was the weird part in the morning. ISM services, it was good. Was not that bad. That killed the bonds, but then bonds came back up. They lagged the market a little bit. And then, yeah, you just had the drop for like 20 minutes and then came right back up. And now we're here. You're near 6,500 on the SPY. 25, you're closer to it than further. You filled that gap finally. You haven't filled the 6,500 gap. And then I think there's like one more gap at 6,200. And oil's kind of climbing up right now. Tesla's going. Is that why? Maybe Tesla's going down on Elon not being there? Fed Williams, he says clearly downside employment risk is increased. 4.2, good employment rate, relatively low. Yeah, you got Fed Williams right now. So SPY's going. I mean, he just kind of worried about or talked about the labor market. Clear risk labor market has increased. Labor market risks have increased. Is moving your positions between account trigger anything cost taxable? Yes. Any sale. NVIDIA, Amazon. So I think that'll be the next thing. You'll probably get it at Power Hour, or you'll get it at you'll get it towards the end of the day, and you'll have your boy come out with all the tech people. Oh, okay. Hams. Yeah, I saw the Amazon thing. I don't think they're going to be that big. And Amazon and the Anthropic news was really good. There are people like that. And then just get ready. I mean, last time Tim Cook was at that White House, it was a record day the next day. Or like that next week, remember? So now you have all of them. I don't know what's in store, I'm sure. I'm hoping it's something related to Intel, but other than that, we don't really have like a idea. Victoria's Secret, Hims, Palo Alto. And the high ticker has been active almost all day. I don't think I gave you a checkup in the morning. It was literally the reverse of yesterday. So yeah, 8 names red on the Dow, 22 green. That was inverse yesterday. NASDAQ, 53 green, 47 red. I was like yesterday, but yesterday I had way more red at one point. And then SPY, 323 green, 177 in the red. BMY, they might be at the event too. There's this is a pharma, so they could be at Wells Fargo. And I hope you guys see it in the morning. I mean, that's why I was telling y'all, and I was asking you why you're telling me about random puts and shit. Because you guys see it. There's a lot of these moves today have just been from the conferences. So we made good plays on most of them, but there's even some I didn't cover. But that's where the movement came from. So I think because PayPal did that similarly. I don't know with BMY, but I'm assuming. Yeah, tomorrow just matters on the jobs. First hour, we've been there. I mean, it was, just a month ago, we had one of these non-farms and everything else. So just, you know how it is. It's going to be, you're going to end up going, and morning will be exciting. And then depending on what happens with the morning, that'll be the set all be all, if it's a surprise or not. But even then, the day that we had the revision down, remember, it was terrible, and then you ended the day green, I'm pretty sure. What was that? Toyota recalled Lexus and Toyota vehicles. No. We see that one every other week. All right, though, nothing crazy has moved yet. Again, Staples not good today. I'm actually surprised those are even in the green. And then healthcare wasn't bad, but I don't know. I want to say tech and chips was the leader. Consumer durables and then finance on the SPY. And then BMY still going. I'm assuming that's from the meeting. I'm going to verify that. September 8th? No. There's September 8th for Morgan Stanley Healthcare Conference. So that even means next week, too, you're going to get more of these. Google. Yeah, it sounds like an AI. Embedding Gemini or Gemma. Open model. Giggle. Good morning, my friend. It's almost afternoon. It's time for push-ups. I don't know if you guys did any during the Congress thing. So get that body moving, baby. Get that body moving. We should move around, and then we could go to Philo. I like Philo. DraftKings is dropping too. Let's see if they're at anything. DraftKings is at the conference right now. Bank of America Gaming and Lodging at 9:10 a.m. Yeah, 20 minutes ago, DraftKings started. So they might talk about EBITDA in their guide. But yeah. So dude, I hope you guys see in the morning. That's what I was telling you. I kept seeing it in the morning, and then I checked the broad calendar, and I noticed how many there was. But yeah, even next week too, there's going to be a lot. But yeah, there is a lot of one. A big long term for me. So Phoenix, I don't know, just stop telling us what you own, bro, and what you buy. I'm proud of you. You did so good, man. But you just can't seem to follow this rule for some reason. So yeah, because I don't want you to influence other people. So that's why you keep breaking the rules, and I don't know why you listen to everything that changed your life, you tell me. But this one you can't. It's fascinating. So yeah, man, because I don't want people to, look at, because we brought DraftKings, I think, around this price, and then at one price way lower. But, what if that new guy who's like, should I go buy shit at the high? He sees that, and then he sees your badge and everything else. And then if I say, yeah, Phoenix did this, do you see what you're doing, brother? And again, at this point, I'm starting to lose patience with you. Not my bad, because I've told you this very, very specifically. You were banned for the last 3 weeks, and you didn't even notice. So why are you playing this? It's very simple. Some of the OG Chads, you guys keep flexing. You keep influencing. You keep wanting to tell everybody how good you did. That's awesome. If anybody listened, they did really good. That's everybody did. So, and if you didn't, I don't know what happened. So why is this difficult? You need to mature past this right now. And if you haven't, it's showing that you didn't capture the full lesson, because there's something missing if this keeps occurring. So please correct it. This is going to be the last time I'll ever talk to you about it, okay? So let's do something with it. I'm very confused. Well, yeah, like I'm saying, we're going over info. Like, that's what happened this morning. People were bringing other stuff. I'm going over these conferences. Right? I was talking about something relevant, not what the fuck you bought a long time ago, how well you're doing, none of that shit. So it's very distracting, and it's not good for the people who are new, and it leaves more opportunities to fuck up. So yeah, like I'm saying though, they are at a conference, and that has been the catalyst today. It feels boring, but if you guys notice, a lot of these like random pop-in movers, even then I got a couple 100%ers off of them. Like Coinbase moving, let's see. I don't know if that's the same one. Coinbase is next week. So Coinbase is next week. The long term, yeah, long term is very good, man. I think we have some good shit. So, and that's why I know it's doing very well. So you don't need to tell everybody. And like I'm saying, I don't want you guys don't see it, man. So many people are just, they see and they hear that, and they're gonna FOMO a really bad decision. You picked the right thing, but you also picked the awful time, and that's what happens a lot. And that's why I'm saying that's why I don't want that. And I think a lot of you are purposefully doing it. And if you don't think it's purposeful, then I tell you to stop doing it. Twilio. So yeah, if you see any like 0.5%, 1%, just check if it's at a conference. Yeah, coin is next week. So that's good info, though. Because like I'm telling you, two of them, we've had a couple movers now, and then DraftKings is today, but then those other two, and then I forgot the other one, and then Coinbase, those are all next week. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's what I'm saying. This morning, it caught my eye on the pre-market movers, and we were going over them, and then I was like, wait a minute, if you have all of these coming up, and we looked, and then, yeah. So if it's not data, if it's not Powell, that's why we're saying tomorrow will be important with the non-farms. But then think about it. It's going to be, these will be your little sub-events in between. Credit during September. I mean, we're just in a volatile year. The time would have been like last month till like end of this month. But, you know, you're in one of those like 20% back-to-back years. And so I still think major boom or bust is on the table for this year. Either golden era or fuck it up. But so that's your only risk. But as long as you keep the range fine, you know, it'll be good. If you can't read the rules, you can't read a book. My brother, I just unbanned you not too long ago. So he without ban throw the first stone. Like I said, I'll give you guys corrections to try to help you, but like I'm saying, it's a fine line between y'all get mad at me for correcting, and then all I'm saying, just focus, and we have a good original set of rules to go about. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Rubio, progress on tariff negotiations. There was another one on Japan earlier. Japan, Okazawa or whatever. They did something else. They are. I think they are going to say something for the bonds. I mean, and notice the last 2 days, though. So right when we got to the danger zone, you bounce up. That buys you time. So now it just, here is different than here. It's really close, but do you see what I'm saying? You've done this all year. So that's the funniest part about it, is that $1 on TLT makes the world, literally the world's difference. So you got a little bit in the last 2 days with everything and trade, and then even some of the data, not even getting freaked out by ISM or any of that. That's what keeps happening. You guys don't notice? You like get hyped up about the data for the worst case scenario, then it comes in and then it doesn't, and then the bonds stay stable. That's it. So that's what's going to happen tomorrow too. If tomorrow's not a big deal, that's it. We're fine. And then we'll go back to there. I don't think it's Fed intervention. No, I actually think there's more. It's a theory I've said from the beginning of the year, even last year. I think there's like 4 big money people in the bonds that are distorting the long end by shorting it. Not to mention the rest of Wall Street tagging along because they know it too. But yeah, so I don't think it's the Fed intervening. We're not Japan yet. They'll try to affect the curve eventually if this fails, but I don't think right now. I think right now it's more bond vigilante, or it's not even vigilante. It's 4 people. Why 4? Because there's only so many people with that amount of money who know bonds like that, and they all hate Trump, and they all go up on TV once a month talking this book. So there's evidence. I think all of them have it's a handful of billionaires, even with public positions, but not all of them have to be disclosed. So I can't confirm this, but I do have evidence. I wouldn't say it's an objective fact of what I believe, but I think, I'm connecting a lot of dots and making an assumption. And I could be wrong on the assumption about who's causing it, and I don't think it would destroy my broader theory of the bonds. So whether I'm right or wrong about this, it doesn't change, what I feel about the economy, bonds, and how it'll play out, boom or bust, everything else. So yeah. It's like, 4 or 5 people, but then there's way more people. They just tag along. It's kind of like the propaganda bots. That's what you don't realize. Like, people pay for the campaigns, and people pay for certain things, And then it's like a small group of people, then it spreads. And then before you know it, everybody just bandwagons and tags along. So that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of funds on Wall Street, they're dumb. And they might believe a fake narrative, but I think they're being influenced by, again, even it's hard not to look at bonds. That's what I'm saying. You throw a couple billion on there, and you watch the yields rocket. It's hard not to think or see something there, especially with what you've seen in the bond market over the years. I believe the bond market more than not. And that's what I'm saying. The bond market has some truth to it, but it also has some influence, being influenced. And that's why I'm telling you, it's easy, super easy. If they cut during a boom and the economy is really booming, we're fucked. Then the yields are going to rocket. If we cut during a slowdown, the yields will go down. That's what they're trying to influence, but they can't fight reality. Do you understand me? So it doesn't matter how much money they have. They could stall it for a little bit, but it doesn't matter. That's the real answer. That's what I'm telling all of you. That's the true answer. That's when they're going to either close their position or double it down. That's the point. You could agree or disagree, but I think that's 100% the answer. As far as this little cycle, bonds, and where we're at, and where it will end up. Like I'm saying, I know the what. I don't know the when. I don't know the little pieces, but that's how it's going to happen. That's the final conclusion of it all. If we cut, that's what they're waiting for. If you cut and the economy's booming, the bonds are going to go up. They're going to rocket. And they're already shorting it. That's what I'm saying. They're either going to double down or snag another 250 basis points and then close it. Or vice versa. If it comes down to it, Fed starts cutting and then the economy really starts turning, they're closing that short, taking their billions of dollar profit already, and then they're gonna fucking hammer the bid and then benefit off the low end. And then while you are thinking, and while retail starts shorting, they're gonna be buying up the fuck out of it because they understand it, and I understand it, and you understand it. It just depends on if you want to believe the people who don't understand it. That's all it is. That's why I don't answer. That's why I answered that question and I went kind of deep on it. But then look, you guys get like, it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. I'm giving this to you so simple. Anybody could understand this. That's what you don't need to know a basis trade. You don't need to know shit. I'm saying even the guy working minimum wage to the highest position on Wall Street could understand what I just said. That's what I'm trying to, that's why. Don't overcomplicate it. That's all. You could cut through it. You could have tin. You could have reality. It doesn't even matter. Just simple as that. Boom or bust. How are you cutting? So if we're cutting into an economic boom, the yields are going to surge. If you cut during a bust, the yields are going to run down. That's it. That's your answer. That's all. See how many people will fight that. But that's the answer, and you could plan and build around that to make a lot of money. You just can't predict it. And that's how you should understand what I'm saying. I can't predict it. I don't know. And then look at my lack of bias. I'm not even telling you which one I think should happen. It doesn't even fucking matter what I think. I just know the answer when it happens. Oh, Chad. I'm trying to put them on game. They just think it's all politics now. Ironically, I'm the only one with the political degree. Meanwhile, homeboy keeps spamming me about Bloomberg. They banned me. Now I have to ban you. I know. The cycle continues. Cut during boom, yields rise. Ignore price. I'm just telling you what's going to happen to the bond market. Then you have to play the cause and effect game. That's what I'm saying. If bonds went to 7%, then what happens? You could think of 20 other plays, but we're not there yet. But like I'm saying, it all starts with the bond market. That's the big money. That's where, ironically enough, all year, all the narratives arrive and dissipate at the bond level. I'm telling you, it's all bonds, baby. It always has been. That's it. I've always been telling you about it too. So that's why. I think it's super simple. You just have to be patient. Most people aren't patient, and then with how politically, heightened the environment is and everything else, and then the prices move in volatility, people are getting impatient. People are looking around, and it's already been weird, and there's so much money floating around. So here we are. That's what I'm saying. You guys got to realize the problem of just look, do you know how many people try to describe this and then they overcomplicate it? But then when they try to tell you this, they try to tell you what they want to happen because of their belief. That's the problem. You have the bond vigilantes saying, no, it's good. They're not saying if this, then that. They're saying it's going to be, and then this is going to happen. And then the other people are saying, no. You got to buy all the TLT. Rates are going to go down no matter what. And that's a smaller portion of people, but they still exist. So do you see what I'm saying? It's not, that's wrong. That's not the right way to look at it. That's what's going to leave you fucked up. That's where people keep getting a lack of clarity. That's why I'm trying to help you in that sense of, dude, for real, I don't care what you believe. I really don't. I'm not trying to force my bias upon anybody. That's why I'm showing you, as you learn to interpret this, it's just understanding the bond market. I don't want it to go up or down. It doesn't matter what I think. It really doesn't. But if it goes either direction, you should know what the consequence will be and how to benefit or protect yourself off of it. I think that is very rational and reasonable. Yet, I'm the crazy one. So now let's go talk about Jesus. I'm down. Oh, I didn't even set it up yet? I thought I did. Oh, no, I did. Praise the Lord. Anything you want. The other side of consistency, baby. God bless them small good decisions. Amen. It helps to know, and then the part where you guys are gonna like elevate is learning how to execute it. That's what I'm saying. Learning how to be in the market alive, but not reacting to something that hasn't happened. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, let's go. Snipe, know your target. You know what we're waiting for. There's several things we're waiting for that haven't happened yet, and it's still on track perfectly. So that's why we just have to execute it, and don't let impatience get the best of you. Don't let anything get the best of you. And just know the goal and follow through, baby. Follow through. Tesla says they'll remove the safety driver. Nice. I would like to try a Tesla Cybercab. That'd be cool. Coin again, and Macy's. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with long-term savings, 10%. God is an awesome God. What determines a boom or bust? So for the sake of not confusing everybody, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to keep it simple, so I could make sure the farmer becomes a banker. I'm telling you, overthinkers never make money. Or the smart guys, they don't make as much because they're too smart. So what I'm trying to tell you, well, we need to understand boom or bust. Because I've just been saying this for a long time, and motherfuckers still not getting it. And this is a big one. You'll know it when you see it. You'll know what a slow economy. There is metrics, but like I'm saying, to not confuse and to not overcomplicate, just you need to understand economy boom bust in relationship to yields, especially right now. And that's it. And if you get what I just said, I think you are ahead of 80% of people right now. And I think it's going to help you when that time comes. And that's what I'm saying. You'll know it when you see it, and if I'll tell you. But don't look for something. That's what I keep telling you. Everybody's looking for something and confirming a bias. I'm just telling you how it plays out, and we'll do it when it happens. I don't know. I've been saying that from January every time it would hit. That's why it's protected me. You haven't realized? I've kept logical consistency, and I have refused to jump into what I believe too early because it hasn't happened. And that's why it's funny. It's almost like comical. Like that's why I laugh a lot. Like literally, bro, every single time. And then Besson, and then the world, and out of nowhere, look at this. Oh, look at that. Every single time. For almost a year, it would have burned you. So yeah, we have the answer. I know the answer. It's not it's not complicated. Yeah, that's it. Doubt the effort, not the aim. I know exactly where the aim is. We know the what. We just don't know the when. And that's fine. Don't look for things to find the when. That's where people keep fucking running into the pit. You see what I'm saying? I give them the answer, and then they look for the bias, and then they just get smashed. Don't do that. Because that's what I'm saying. The same info, if you looked for it, you would have got wrecked. And that's why we just wait. And we wait. I'll tell you it when it's there, but it has to be there. That's why, just like the tariffs, when I say, hey guys, I don't know, but that's a bomb, tick, 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 you'll know it. But for now, we need to get there. But you have to understand the concept in theory, and you will be much, much more prepared with everything. But that being said, let's go to Philo. Jesus loves you. If you don't want to listen to Jesus talk, then don't come. Otherwise, I hope you have a good day. And I think that's it. Woo! All right, it's going to take you there. If not, it wasn't meant to be, but you can find it if you desire it. But don't go if you don't desire, bro. You know? Don't pay for things you don't want. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not a good habit to become wealthy. Amen? Amen. All right, baby. Peace.